Su Zimo and Miss Jing exchanged a glance. Then he asked, "This shared airship you mentioned, who's the other passenger?" "You'll know once you arrive," the overseer replied with a light laugh. "Looks like someone's waiting for us," Su Zimo chuckled. Following the overseer, they walked toward what was said to be the last airship. "These airships, who manages them?" Su Zimo turned to Miss Jing and asked, "The so-called Gongsun Imperial Clan?" "Gongsun Imperial Clan has long since declined. Now they're run by Imperial Crown Island," Miss Jing answered. "Imperial Crown Island? Their island master is Zhou Ming, isn't he?" Su Zimo asked. "You've heard of him?" Miss Jing smiled and nodded. "I know who's playing tricks here," Su Zimo replied calmly. They followed the overseer aboard the ship, where a lone figure was standing at the prow, waiting quietly. She gazed ahead, her long hair drifting in the wind. Her slender figure stood lightly against the breeze, clothed in flowing violet robes. "Moonpluck Fairy," Miss Jing laughed softly. "Seems someone has latched on to you." "Lord Su," Moonpluck Fairy turned, her eyes shining like the moon, pure and luminous. "What a coincidence, meeting again," Su Zimo said with a smile. "New chapters are published on n0velfire.net. "It isn't coincidence. I've been waiting here especially for you," Moonpluck Fairy replied with a gentle smile. "Oh? You need something from me?" Su Zimo asked. "When you bought my immortal brew earlier, you promised you owed me a favor. I wonder if that still counts," Moonpluck Fairy said. "Speak your request," Su Zimo nodded. "I'm heading to Brahma City. I want you to keep me safe along the way. What do you say?" "That's all." Su Zimo looked puzzled. "Just that simple," Moonpluck Fairy nodded. "Then let's go," Su Zimo answered. Though he didn't understand why Moonpluck Fairy would so easily spend her favor on this, he didn't press the matter. The vast airship carried only the three of them. With a roaring hum, countless spirit crystals were fed into the vessel, dissolving into dense spirit force. The ship itself absorbed this aura before shooting into the void at light speed. A massive white sail unfurled above, catching the ether like a great wing. After the roaring acceleration lasted for quite some time, the ship finally steadied. Su Zimo looked around. The clouds seemed within reach, mist rolling everywhere, the sky a sea of white. Though accompanied by two stunning women, Su Zimo felt no distractions. He returned to his cabin to cultivate. Since his brush with death, his comprehension had deepened. He felt he was on the verge of breaking through from the yin-yang stage into the void turbulent stage. In the endless void he had created for cultivation, god crystals glittered in the distance. Su Zimo sat calm, shrouded in misty energy. Within him, the yin-yang bridge flickered, two opposing forces clashing and flowing across it. Above the bridge stretched a patch of darkness, a void. This void existed within his body. It was known as the Heavenly Void, located near the abdomen beside the God Soul. The human body itself is profound beyond measure. Even just the known acupoints number in the tens of thousands. And as cultivation deepens, new hidden points slowly emerge. But not every meridian or acupoint can be used. The body is like a vast treasure, waiting for careful excavation. The opening of meridian gates follows this same principle. And this heavenly void is one of those inaccessible spaces. Only by refining this heavenly void, linking meridians and acupoints, can one form countless minor and major energy cycles. At this moment, as Su Zimo meditated, the heavenly void within him was shrouded by a mass of baleful infernal energy. The energy devoured the void, slowly but effectively. Beside the heavenly void, Su Zimo's god soul condensed into a tiny figure. The figure was his exact likeness, only hundreds of times smaller. When it opened its mouth, it swallowed spirit force like a whale drinking the sea. Its eyes glimmered with divinity, surrounded by visions of various nomological truths, surging like tides. A void turbulent must open 33,333 acupoints and connect 33,333 meridians. On the god soul's tiny body, countless points of light appeared. With each extinguished point, the heavenly void was further consumed by infernal energy. As the void shrank, Suzimo's aura swelled, demonic clouds roiled around him, Tao resonance thickened, violet mist radiated. The void turbulent stage was within reach. Just then, the void around him rippled. Lord Su, something's happening outside. Come quickly. Miss Jing's voice echoed. Suzimo frowned slightly, but he remained unmoved. He was at the most crucial moment of breakthrough. Stopping now would harm his foundation. Miss Jing's voice grew louder. Lord Su, wake up! Her image suddenly appeared before him in the void. She stood there, beginning to shed her clothes. Lord Su, do I look beautiful to you? Suzimo snorted coldly. Within his inner god beast, chaos thrust out its colossal head and devoured her in a single bite. A heart demon, Suzimo said flatly. Heart demons are illusions that appear when cultivators seek enlightenment. Since ancient times, countless practitioners have perished under them. In truth, at the very end, a cultivator's greatest enemy is not heavenly tribulation but the heart demon. The one Suzimo faced now was the weakest form, manifestations born of greed, lust, and desire. But in time, they would grow stronger, piercing directly into a person's deepest, most unbearable truths, and many would be utterly consumed. As the heavenly void was completely refined, a stronger aura surged from Suzimo's body. Storm winds rose, the void quaked. He clenched his fist, and space itself froze solid. Crackling sounds echoed through his body, signs of meridians connecting, as if rivers long divided by chasms were now bridged. More and more meridians aligned. Suzimo waved his hand and stepped out from the void. He opened his cabin door. Miss Jing and Moonpluck Fairy were in the lounge, chatting as the ship sailed steadily onward. Finished cultivating? Miss Jing turned and smiled at him. Where were you just now? Suzimo asked. I've been chatting here with Moonpluck Fairy the whole time, Miss Jing said with a smile. Suzimo turned his gaze to Moonpluck Fairy. She gave a slight nod and replied, Miss Jing really has been here the whole time. Why do you ask? Nothing. I guess I was overthinking. Suzimo frowned slightly, then asked, Where are we now? We just left North River City not long ago. Right now, we're near Fiend Mountain, Moonpluck Fairy replied. No sooner had her words fallen than a loud bang echoed. The airship shuddered violently as if struck by something heavy. Ship up ahead. Stop immediately, or don't blame us for destroying it. A shrill voice called from below. It's the rat demons of Fiend Mountain. Moonpluck Fairy's face changed slightly. Fiend Mountain? Suzimo glanced at her. He knew this place carried many unpleasant memories for her. Stop the ship. Let's see what they want, Suzimo said. The massive vessel slowed to a halt in the void. Then came several loud booms as figures leapt onto the deck. Suzimo looked closely and realized they were rats. Rats carrying large sabers. These rodents had long since cultivated into spirits. They walked upright on two legs, clad in stolen silks of garish colors. Each one carried a saber almost as big as its body, posturing with exaggerated swagger. Moonpluck Fairy, our boss invites you over for a little chat, one rat said in a slick, mocking tone. And who is your boss? Moonpluck Fairy frowned. You nobles sure are forgetful. Have you already forgotten King Scale Rat? The rat replied smugly. Moonpluck Fairy's face darkened. The lineage of these Fiend Mountain rats was notoriously tangled. Back when her immortal Brew Island passed through this area, a dispute broke out, and one of the rats was killed. That rat, it turned out, was none other than the son of King Scale Rat. And rumor had it, King Scale Rat was one of the most favored grandsons of the Elder Fiend of Fiend Mountain himself. No wonder his name carried such weight across all of North River. I don't want to go, Moonpluck Fairy said flatly. That's not up to you. Whether you want to or not, you're coming with us? The rat swaggered forward and said, Around here, no one dares refuse King Scale Rat's summons. Moonpluck Fairy frowned and cast Suzimo a pleading look. Before the rat could finish gloating, it suddenly felt itself lifted off the ground. Who dares lay hands on Grandpa Rat? Do you have a death wish? It turned its head mid-shout. Right in front of its eyes was the razor-sharp tip of Shadow Tyrant. With a swish, green blood sprayed into the air. The rat's corpse hit the floor with a thud. The other rats, seeing this, didn't cower. Instead, their fury ignited, and they howled as they charged forward. Suzimo didn't bother speaking. Shadow Tyrant's blade aura swept through the air, cold and merciless. One by one, the rat corpses fell. You killed them all? Isn't that going to cause trouble? Moonpluck Fairy asked with worry. For more chapters, visit novlfire.net. Suzimo stepped forward, grabbed the hem of her purple robe, and used it to wipe the blood from his blade. Then he smiled faintly. Isn't this what you wanted? Moonpluck Fairy froze for a moment before replying. I don't understand what you mean, young Master Su. You understand, Suzimo said calmly. By clashing with Fiend Mountain, I've essentially avenged you, haven't I? Why would young Master Su think so poorly of me? Moonpluck Fairy went silent for a moment before speaking again. Isn't it true? You knew full well you had grudges with Fiend Mountain. Yet instead of taking a detour, you deliberately flew over their territory. Suzimo continued. You know I never back down, and the little demons of Fiend Mountain are infamous for bullying travelers around here. A clash was inevitable, wasn't it? You think too much. Passing over Fiend Mountain is simply the fastest route to reach Brahma City, Moonpluck Fairy replied. Suzimo looked at her with steady eyes. Moonpluck Fairy's body trembled as if struck. She fell hard onto the deck, coughing up a mouthful of blood, her face pale as paper. Young Master said you would protect me all the way to Brahma City, she hurriedly said. That doesn't mean you get to manipulate me, Suzimo replied coldly. Moonpluck Fairy said nothing. She knew she was in the wrong. Whatever you decide, I'll accept, she said quietly. You should be grateful. If not for that jar of immortal brew, you'd already be a corpse, and in the worst possible way, Suzimo said. I know. As for when Yuan's life or death, I no longer dwell on it, Moonpluck Fairy admitted. But my clan's vengeance is unfulfilled. I carry guilt toward Immortal Brew Island. I wish I could have perished alongside them. Whatever. If you try to play tricks again, I won't wait for others. I'll personally grant you that wish, Suzimo said, then turned and walked back to his quarters. His void tribulent power was still unstable. The heart demon he had just encountered left him wary. He needed to stabilize his realm first. Upon the Inyang Bridge lies the heavenly void. After linking it, one may divine life and death. This was an old saying about the 5 stages of the Grand Emperor realm. Power coursed through his meridians, surging across newly opened pathways. More and more hidden acupoints were breaking open. Suzimo immersed himself in his cultivation, feeling out his new realm, preparing to advance toward the next, the God Unity stage. But soon, the ship shuddered again, as if under attack. Are those Fiend Mountain pests not finished yet? Suzimo frowned. He stepped out of his room. The airship had activated its automatic defenses, a translucent barrier encasing it. Outside, the void swarmed with countless little demons, surrounding the giant vessel on all sides. Humans inside, King Scale Rat has arrived. Come out and greet him at once. A sharp rat's voice shrieked across the air. The rats wielded all sorts of weapons, dressed in multicolored silks, looking absurdly grotesque. They've caught up again, Miss Jing said as she stepped forward. These small fry are yours to handle, Suzimo replied. And what about you? She asked. Lowering myself to kill them would cheapen me. I can't be bothered, Suzimo said. With a wave of his hand, Chaos' massive form emerged from within the god world. The god beast's aura rolled out like a storm. Miss Jing chuckled from the side. Your little world really is convenient. You can stash anything in there. Want to take a look inside? Su Zimo asked with a smile. Sure. Miss Jing nodded. I'm afraid once you go in, you won't come back out, Su Zimo said casually. No, I believe you wouldn't harm me, Miss Jing replied with a laugh. But I'm afraid you might harm me, Su Zimo countered. Are you implying something, young master? Miss Jing smiled. You know better than anyone, don't you? Su Zimo asked in return. Young master, you're making me more and more confused. Miss Jing shook her head and replied, If there's something going on, please clarify, young master. I only wish to follow in your footsteps. Where are you from? Do you have any family? Su Zimo asked. I was raised by my master since I was young. My master said I was an orphan, Miss Jing replied. Then where is your master from? Su Zimo pressed. Above the skies, countless tiny rats were shouting and screeching. They broke through the barrier of the airship, leaping into the cabin. Chaos roared, swallowing every rat that approached the cabin in one gulp. Countless rats charged, and for a moment, the scene was chaotic. But Su Zimo seemed oblivious to it all, completely unconcerned. He just calmly looked at Miss Jing. I don't know my master's origins either. All I remember is traveling the world with my master since childhood, visiting famous mountains and rivers, watching the sun and moon pass, the seasons change, divining fate, and comprehending the mysteries of the heavens. What a perfect explanation, Su Zimo said with a smile. Sometimes I wonder if there's truly someone in this world who knows everything. In a minor world like the primordial heartlands, it might be plausible, but in the 9 heavens, directly connected to the heavenly Tao, how could your master divine the mysteries of the heavens without facing a tribulation? The secrets of his divination techniques are beyond comprehension, Miss Jing said. Young Master Su, if you don't think you're capable, does that mean no one in the world is? The world is vast, filled with all sorts of extraordinary people and events. My master is but a tiny existence among those who divine the heavens. Your master is far from insignificant, Su Zimo said with a smile. Since ancient times, divining the heavens has been the most complex of matters, and the most dangerous. Just the entry barrier alone is enough to keep most people out. Most so-called diviners can only grasp vague omens, like a shadow of calamity in one's brow or a shift in the eastern purple star, indicating misfortune or fortune. These are mere signs, but as for what will happen or when, they can rarely pinpoint with such precision. Follow current novels on novelwhiteconcavesideddiamondfire.net. Moreover, most diviners, even if they know something, dare not speak of it freely, for fear of leaking heavenly secrets and inviting tribulation. Yet when Miss Jing first met Su Zimo, she seemed to know everything. Back then, in the primordial heartlands, Su Zimo only had suspicions but didn't dwell on it. But in the 9 heavens, when Gongyang Su appeared and precisely calculated the location of the Shenyuan clan, Su Zimo realized things weren't so simple. He possessed the primordial chaos bead, a supreme treasure of heaven and earth. In the primordial heartlands, he could freely access the river of fate, but in the 9 heavens, he avoided using it whenever possible. The backlash involved was something even he couldn't bear. Yet for Gongyang Su, there was no tribulation or backlash, just a single formation resolved it. It was utterly fantastical. So Su Zimo, risking his life, ventured into the river of fate to clear up his doubts. The answers he found shocked him. What's wrong with young Master Su? Miss Jing asked. The Shenyuan clan is in 100 Flowers Valley, Su Zimo said with a faint smile. He recalled when he obtained the heaven-shattering God scripture. He had spoken with a being called Heaven's Equal Emperor. That being taught him the power of heaven-shattering, and in return, Su Zimo helped deliver a token to a man named Chi Haoran of the vast heaven god realm. But in doing so, he offended a being called the Myriad Fairy Flowers. Back in the primordial heartlands, Su Zimo hadn't paid it much mind. But upon hearing of 100 Flowers Valley, he suddenly recalled this matter. If the Myriad Fairy Flowers was in 100 Flowers Valley, then everything was interconnected, and he could understand the significance of Miss Jing's existence. What's wrong? Miss Jing asked. The information about the Shenyuan clan was something you sought from my master. I didn't deceive you. Have you heard a story? Su Zimo said with a smile. What story? Miss Jing asked, puzzled. Before people slaughter a pig, they raise it for a while, feeding it until it's fat and plump before raising the butcher's knife. Su Zimo said with a smile. Between you and me, who do you think is the one being fattened up? Miss Jing was silent for a long time before pointing to the side and saying, Those little rats are coming. I know, Su Zimo said with a smile. With a wave of his hand, endless flames of nomological truth surged forth, transforming into a boundless sea of blood in the void, engulfing everything. As the void melted, the rats vanished without a trace. Not even a shred of evidence remained. Su Zimo slightly raised his head, looking toward the horizon. A man wearing a red cloak, with a human face and a rat-like body, slowly approached from the distance. Beside him were two great rats. Both exuded the aura of immortals. Their overwhelming presence shook the void with booming sounds. What heavy killing intent you have, fellow Taoist? The rat man said with a cold smile. Who are you? Su Zimo asked. He's King Scale Rat, Moonpluck Fairy reminded from the side. Brother, how will you compensate me for this? King Scale Rat said with a faint smile. Why did you block my airship? Su Zimo countered. Just ran into an old acquaintance and came to say hello, King Scale Rat said, looking at Moonpluck Fairy with a smile. Fairy, don't you agree? If that's your way of saying hello, then what I just did was my way of saying hello, Su Zimo replied with a smile. Get Elder Fiend out here. You're not qualified to talk to me. At Su Zimo's words, King Scale Rat was momentarily stunned. Then he replied, I've met many people, but you're the first to demand to see the ancestor right off the bat. Su Zimo frowned slightly, looking down at Fiend Mountain. This so-called Fiend Mountain carried the prestige of a famous mountain. Back in the day, Elder Fiend settled there, directly relocating an immortal mountain from overseas with great divine power. Thus, it was renamed Fiend Mountain. Su Zimo slowly extended his right hand, powerful energy gathering in his palm. The surrounding spirit force surged like a tidal wave, and with his hands like a whale swallowing the sea, he instantly condensed all the spirit force. His palm faced downward, the nomological truth of thunder surging in his hand. King, be careful. The two immortal rat beasts behind him said solemnly, stepping in front of King Scale Rat. Su Zimo's right hand fell, and endless thunder crashed down. A purple light seemed to tear through Fiend Mountain, and the moment the booming thunder roared, Fiend Mountain was enveloped in a sea of thunderous purgatory. Why you destroyed Fiend Mountain? King Scale Rat shouted at Su Zimo. I think your old ancestor will like my way of saying hello, Su Zimo said with a smile. Meow! A cat's cry suddenly echoed from the depths of Fiend Mountain. The next moment, the already destroyed Fiend Mountain trembled. The ground split open with countless cracks. After the cat's cry, the roar of a tiger rang out, ferocious, shaking the mountains and forests. Amidst the gray dust, a colossal figure rose up with world-shattering might. Two eyes, glowing with eerie dark light, pierced the heavens and locked onto Su Zimo. Ancestor, this is the man who destroyed our Fiend Mountain and slaughtered so many of our kin. The King Scale Rat shouted at the side. The two immortal beasts beside him quickly tried to dissuade him. Great King, this man is not on our level. Best not to speak rashly. With Ancestor here, what do I have to fear? The King Scale Rat snorted coldly, though his body still instinctively retreated several steps. As the dust settled, the massive shadow revealed its true form, and Su Zimo finally saw its appearance clearly. It was a tiger with two heads. One head was a ferocious tiger's, savage and menacing. The other was like that of a tabby cat, striped and sharp-eyed. Newest update provided by novel_fire.net. Its body was thousands of meters tall, the size of 3 airships put together. Its beastly aura rolled outward, its entire form patterned in stark black and white. It had 8 legs in total, and a pair of wings sprouted from its back. Its fangs were like those of a saber-toothed tiger, jagged, blade-like, terrifying enough to make one's blood run cold. "Fellow Taoist, why destroy my fiend mountain?" The tiger spoke calmly. "You are the elder fiend?" Su Zimo asked. "The ancestor is absent. I am only his mount." The tiger shook its head, its voice rumbling like thunder. "Just a mount, yet already at the first realm of Grand Emperor Inyang stage." That meant the elder fiend himself was, if not a Saint Sovereign, at least at the peak of the 5 stages of a Grand Emperor, nearing Saint Sovereign realm. "Where is the elder fiend?" Su Zimo asked. "The ancestor's whereabouts are ever unfathomable. He need not report to us." The tiger shook its head again. "Ancestor, you are also a Grand Emperor. Why waste words with him?" The king's scale rat shouted, itching for revenge. "Noisy!" Su Zimo's cold snort shook the void itself. The sound rippled like thunder. The void shattered. Heaven and earth darkened. Lightning tore through the sky. King Scale Rat collapsed instantly, his face pale, unconscious on the ground. "Great King!" The 2 immortal beasts rushed to support him, examined him, then looked back at Su Zimo with grim faces. "His soul is shattered. Quite the domineering method you wield," the tiger coldly said. It breathed out a surge of true essence, wrapping around King Scale Rat's broken soul to stabilize it. "Domineering," Su Zimo chuckled softly. "Compared to your lot, who casually exterminate entire sects, what I did is child's play." "You've come to seek justice for Immortal Brew Island?" the tiger asked, eyes narrowing. "Immortal Brew Island has nothing to do with me. I was merely passing through when your men stopped me," Su Zimo said. "Since you wouldn't let me leave, I thought we might as well reason this out properly." At this, the tiger had a rough idea of the truth. It was most likely his children, emboldened by the elder fiend's name, who regularly robbed travelers. Normally, others dared not challenge them. But this time, they had picked on someone unyielding. "Fellow Taoist, bring out some compensation and offer us an apology, and today's matter can be forgotten. What say you?" the tiger suggested. "Forgotten?" Su Zimo laughed. "You'd like to forget it. I wouldn't." "What do you mean?" the tiger asked, its tone tightening. "The ancestor is absent today. Otherwise, even as an emperor, you would have to bow. Surely you've heard his name." "Sorry, I really haven't," Su Zimo smiled. "The ancestor is at the peak of Grand Emperor, 1 step away from Saint Sovereign," the tiger said coldly. "He may become the 2nd Saint Sovereign of the mortal ascension heaven, after Brahma." "The 2nd Saint Sovereign? Phew, I'm so scared." Su Zimo laughed mockingly. "Fellow Taoist, I counsel you kindly, don't be ungrateful," the tiger said evenly. "I'm a little hungry, just wondering whether you're truly a tiger, or just a fat cat." Su Zimo tilted his head, smiling. "Courting death!" the tiger roared, wings tearing through the void as it charged at the airship. The gale of its wings shredded the air. The massive airship crumpled like paper and was obliterated in an instant. Su Zimo and his companions stepped into the void, evading the strike. The tiger's 2 heads roared, especially the tabby cat head, shrieking sharply. The speed was incredible. Fiend Mountain's Tao source wasn't even its master's. It was this beast's own. No wonder so many feared to provoke them. A mountain with 2 grand emperors, its underlings had reason to be arrogant. The tiger's speed tore the skies apart, its massive body causing sonic booms, thundering across the heavens. "Down, kitty!" Su Zimo shouted. He descended, his right palm bursting with overwhelming might. With a thunderous crash, his strike landed on the tiger's back. The void shattered. Spatial currents whipped wildly like arrows. The 2 of them crashed downward like meteors, plummeting through the sky. Su Zimo gripped one of its heads with one hand, pummeling its back with the other. Fiend Mountain's Tao source surged, manifesting the form of an ancient white tiger. The white tiger roared to the heavens, opened its bloody maw, and swallowed both Su Zimo and the tiger whole. The next moment, the white tiger's colors began to change. The Tao source fused into its body, transforming it into a real, living tiger. This form grew even larger. It licked its lips, eyes turning toward Miss Jing and the Moonpluck Fairy in the sky. Go! Miss Jing's face changed. She shouted urgently. What about him? The Moonpluck Fairy asked. He won't die so easily, he's only trapped for now, Miss Jing said. Then shouldn't we help him? That tiger is a grand emperor. If you stay, you'll never leave, Miss Jing snapped. She tore through the void, preparing to escape. But the tiger had already fixed its gaze on her, charging forward at terrifying speed. She had no time to react. An explosion shook the air, and she was blasted hundreds of meters away. The tiger stalked forward, step by step, looming over her. Covered in blood, she lay on the ground, staring up at the beast towering above. It looked down on her, then opened its maw wide, ready to swallow her whole. At that critical moment, a burst of radiance erupted from Miss Jing's body. Within that light was the terrifying power of the Tao itself. Not a Tao comprehended, but the Tao itself. The radiance transformed into a Tao wheel, spinning slowly before their eyes. As it turned, it seemed to embody the passage of sun and moon, the reversal of time itself. This reversal was not the power of nomological truths, nor the power of primal Taos. It was the primordial edicts of the Tao. Primordial edicts, the strongest force in the world. Irreversible, indestructible. In an instant, the massive tiger became nothing but white bones. Though it was a grand emperor with the nomological truth of undying, overwhelming imperial might, and boundless Tao source, it still ended up as a pile of bones. The skeletal remains crashed onto the ground. Miss Jing, pale-faced, struggled to her feet. The Moonpluck Fairy rushed to support her. Are you all right? She asked. I've consumed too much. A bit of rest will be enough, Miss Jing replied. With their airship destroyed, the two had no choice but to descend, landing among the ruins of Fiend Mountain. That's young Master Su. The Moonpluck Fairy suddenly pointed ahead. Perched leisurely atop a tree, Su Zimo leaned back on the branches. In one hand, he held an apple, calmly munching away. Not bad. You even managed to kill a Grand Emperor, Su Zimo said with a smile. All thanks to Sister Jing, the Moonpluck Fairy replied. But young master, how did you end up here? That tiger trapped me in its body. When it turned to bones, I simply fell down with it, Su Zimo answered offhandedly. Didn't expect you to be trapped by a tiger, Miss Jing said faintly from the side. Walk by the river long enough, and your shoes are bound to get wet, Su Zimo chuckled. But more surprising than that was the Tao will you used just now. That was my master's safeguard, given to me for dire moments, Miss Jing explained. Oh, Gongyang Su truly is extraordinary, Su Zimo nodded with a smile. He then added, now that our ship is gone, we'll have to return to borrow another one. No need, the Moonpluck Fairy replied. Raising her right hand, she gathered an immense surge of spirit force. The shattered fragments of the ship that had been scattered across the heavens were drawn back together. Under the condensation of pure white aura, a new airship took form before their eyes, lifelike, solid, flawless. These ships are not so easily destroyed. As long as the core remains intact, they can be restored, even reshaped at will, she explained. Then let's continue on to Brahma City, Su Zimo said with a grin. Do be cautious, young master. It's not only your safety at stake. We two weak women must also rely on your protection, Miss Jing reminded. Su Zimo laughed, tossed aside the apple core, and said, This apple was sweet. The grand airship started up once more, sailing steadily across the void. As for the elder fiend, none of them gave it a second thought. A month passed quietly aboard the vessel, until one morning, a vast city appeared in the distance, looming faintly in the thick fog. Its walls were built of two distinct materials. One, bricks steeped in overwhelming demonic energy. The other, golden tiles radiating Buddhist light. Demon Bricks and Golden Tiles. NW novel chapters are published on n0velfire.net. At the gates stood two statues. One, a monk suffused with radiant Buddha light. The other, a demon king wreathed in billowing demonic aura. The two statues faced one another, both grand and imposing. The city was hundreds of times larger than North River City, with hundreds of billions of residents and many more visitors. Saint Sovereign Brahma was said to walk both paths, Miss Jing explained. Legend holds he once went to the ancient altar, bowed before the grand Buddha of that age, and cultivated Hinayana Buddhism. Later, he obtained demonic inheritance as well, mastering both Buddha and demon. He was the true consummate dual cultivator of the path of both Buddha and demon. As the three moved through the city, they saw both Buddhist and demonic teachings flourishing. But most so-called adherents were imitators, grasping only the surface. None truly embodied Buddha or demon. Where is the teleportation formation to the heaven's end? Ocean's edge? Su Zimo asked. By rights, to enter that particle world, you must either be a disciple of the Brahma monarch god realm, or meet their conditions, Miss Jing replied. Since they rule here, you understand, it's their rules that matter. The Saint Sovereign Tower. This was the largest hall in Brahma City. After the disappearance of Saint Sovereign Brahma, it had been built in his honor. Now, however, the tower served more as an administrative base for the Brahma monarch god realm. For the entrance to the heaven's end, Ocean's Edge was located here. The entire hall was adorned in black with gilded trim. It was vast in size and divided into several thousand zones. At the very core lay the teleportation formation. To the left, a task board where the Brahma monarch god realm posted missions. Completion granted points, points which were the key to entering Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge. To the right, a trading section selling pills and weapons, something like a marketplace. Capture the bandit Jiang Bei alive for 30 points. Kill him for 10. Find a stalk of dragon saliva grass, 20 points. One ancient dragon bone, 50 points. Su Zimo scanned the tasks on the left and saw all manner of requests. Miss Jing returned from inquiring and said, I've just learned. Entry to Heaven's End. Ocean's Edge requires 100 points and grants 3 days stay. You two are also coming with me? Su Zimo asked. Since we're here, we ought to see it. Moonpluck Fairy smiled. Just then, an argument erupted at the side of the hall. Monk, this is disgraceful. That Jiang Tu was a disciple of our demon faction for the competition. For you to lure him away midway, what sort of conduct is that? A black-robed elder with wild, explosive hair stormed in, shouting angrily. From the right room emerged another elder, clad in monk's robes. He held a cup of tea in hand, a meditation staff strapped to his back. As he walked, the chains on the staff clanked loudly. The monk sipped his tea calmly, then smiled and said slowly, All are free to recruit. What need is there to speak of stealing? Tomorrow is the Myriad Alchemy Gathering. You steal people at this juncture, how am I supposed to find replacements? The black-robed elder roared. Freedom of recruitment, yes, but your cheap tricks. I will report them truthfully to the Realm Lord, he added coldly. Then go tell the Realm Lord. Why trouble me here? The monk laughed. You! The black-robed elder snorted, too angry to retort. Behind him stood several black-robed disciples. He waved them forward, signaling with his eyes. They stepped to the task board on the left and placed a large plaque upon it. Represent the demon faction at the Myriad Alchemy Gathering. Points awarded based on performance. Su Zimo glanced at the notice that had just been posted, then turned to Miss Jing and asked, What is this Myriad Alchemy Gathering? It's one of Brahma City's grand festivals, Miss Jing explained. Right now, the Brahma monarch god realm is split into two factions. One is the demon faction, the other is the Buddha faction. The two are constantly at odds, each wanting to abolish the other and claim sole rulership over the Brahma monarch god realm. The so-called Myriad Alchemy Gathering is a grand event for alchemists. Every year, the demon and Buddha factions compete in secret. Whichever side wins claims control of Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge for the next 3 years. This sounds interesting, Suzimo said with a faint smile. Monk, just you wait, we're not done with this matter, the black-robed elder said furiously. And what exactly can you do about it? The monk sneered. The alchemy gathering is a contest of skill. Even the realm lord can't interfere. Frankly, your demon faction should have been abolished long ago, if not for the realm lord shielding you. Bullshit, the black-robed elder roared. Believe it or not, I'll beat you into the dirt right now. Then come try. I'm not afraid of you. The monk shot back, temper flaring as he stepped forward. The two were on the verge of clashing when a calm voice suddenly broke in. How exactly are points awarded at this myriad alchemy gathering? Both turned their heads to see a purple-robed youth holding the mission plaque with a smile. It was Suzimo. He studied the plaque in his hand. It only said, "Represent the demon faction in the gathering. Points awarded based on results." But it gave no specifics. Who are you? The black-robed elder barked. Don't go pulling plaques you don't understand. I'm here to enter the gathering, Suzimo replied. I just want to know how the points are calculated. To represent the demon faction, you must first pass my test, the elder said. Not just anyone qualifies, we can't waste the quota. If you make the top 10, you'll earn 1,000 points. Top 5 earns 10,000 points. And from 5th place upward, each rank multiplies the points tenfold. What about first place? Suzimo asked. First place? The elder laughed heartily. Young man, don't aim too high. But if you somehow win first place, I'll guarantee you free entry and exit from Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge for 3 years. Deal? Suzimo nodded. Not so fast. This afternoon I'll hold a collective test. You won't be the only one. We can't let you enter alone, the elder added. Suzimo simply nodded. It was still morning, plenty of time before then. After exchanging names with the elder, Suzimo left the Saint Sovereign Tower with Miss Jing and Moonpluck Fairy. You're really going to take part in this gathering? Miss Jing asked. Why not? Suzimo countered. It's just a trivial matter. You've never refined pills before, have you? Don't underestimate alchemy, she warned. The moon-plucking fairy also nodded. Alchemy and cultivation are worlds apart. The higher you go, the harder it gets. Even if you're a grand emperor, it doesn't mean you'll beat those alchemists. Suzimo only smiled. If he dared accept, it was because he was fully confident. Among the 10 primordial god scriptures, one was the primordial alchemy god scripture. It was a method created specifically for alchemy. Its techniques and the pills it produced were among the best under heaven. For him, this was no difficulty. Let's go check out the venue of this myriad alchemy gathering, Suzimo said. The Saint Sovereign Tower stood at the heart of Brahma City. And right beside it was the central plaza where the gathering would be held. It was here that every participant would refine their pills. Rumor had it that judges from the Alchemy God Tower would be invited to preside. The scale of the gathering was said to be unparalleled. For the residents of Brahma City, it was the grandest event of all. When Suzimo and his companions arrived at the plaza, they saw it stretched for millions of square kilometers. Around it stood towering dragon pillars. These were alchemy dragon pillars. High-grade pills, once completed, could summon celestial phenomena. When true divine pills were born, even tribulation lightning could descend. The alchemy dragon pillars existed to suppress such tribulations. With the protection of alchemy dragons, no lightning fell, and all primal Daos were warded off. But they were extremely costly to maintain, and were used only for events of this scale. The plaza itself was marked out with black lines, dividing it into millions of separate square spaces. Each alchemist would refine within their own square, forbidden from crossing boundaries to disturb others. What do you think you're doing? As Suzimo was observing, Moonpluck Fairy suddenly snapped in anger. He turned and saw her glaring furiously at a man nearby. The man wore a gray robe and had a shaven head. Around his neck hung a string of skull beads. But his face was pale, his steps unsteady. Clearly a man drained by wine and women. What happened? Su Zimo asked. That man just tried to touch her, Miss Jing whispered. She dodged in time. What are you doing? The bald man sneered back. Shameless? Moonpluck Fairy said coldly, retreating to stand beside Su Zimo. Oh? You call me shameless? Then if I don't act shameless, wouldn't that disappoint you? The bald man cackled and lunged for her again. His actions were no different from a street thug. Go kick his ass. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility. Su Zimo shrugged. The moon-plucking fairy nodded gratefully. Though weaker than Su Zimo, her cultivation was by no means low. On Immortal Brew Island, she carried weight in her own right. Raising her hand, immortal aura surged as she struck. The bald man screamed as he was blasted backward. His skull cracked against the nearby steps, blood pouring down his face. His cultivation was only around the spirit meridian realm. To call him an ant was no exaggeration. Rolling meat got beaten, someone exclaimed. Who? Outsiders, I bet. Onlookers eyed Moonpluck Fairy, some offering advice. You'd better leave. Beating rolling meat won't be so easy to resolve. That's right. His father is the abbot of Golden Cicada Temple. He's not someone you can offend. Huh. Monks can marry now? Su Zimo chuckled. Read complete version only at novlfire.net. You don't understand, someone explained. Here in Brahma City, Buddhist monks don't forbid such things. Wine and meat may pass through the body, but the Buddha dwells in the heart. As long as the heart is sincere, it doesn't matter. Monks here may marry and have children. No matter. We can handle it, Su Zimo said with a wave. Don't say we didn't warn you, someone sighed. You'll trip sooner or later. Pity. Such a beautiful woman. Su Zimo glanced back. That so-called rolling meat lay unconscious on the ground. His head split open and bleeding. Let's go find a place to rest, Su Zimo said. After all, the Myriad Alchemy gathering would begin tomorrow. The three of them casually found an inn. The inn was named Pleasant Tavern. The scale was decent with a moderate flow of guests. They sat by the window seats facing the street and ordered a full table of dishes. I heard that in this Brahma city, there's a place called the Border Tower. It specializes in gathering intelligence about the inner workings of Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge, Miss Jing said. If the Shenyuan clan has ever shown up in there, chances are the records will be found there. Geez, how do you know everything? Su Zimo chuckled. I've been to this Brahma city before. Besides, the Border Tower is famous here, second only to the Saint Sovereign Tower, Miss Jing replied. The three were chatting when suddenly, from outside, a group of monks marched in. Their footsteps were synchronized, rumbling in unison. Each monk carried a wooden staff. They had the aura of warrior monks and quickly surrounded the entire inn. Looks like they're here for us, Moonpluck Fairy remarked. Su Zimo lifted his wine cup and took a light sip. The monks halted in formation, their staves pounding the ground, producing a booming sound that made the whole inn tremble. Reverend monks, what is the matter? The innkeeper hurriedly stepped forward to ask. The monks parted, opening a path. A fat monk with big ears, dressed in a golden kasaya, stepped inside. Our Golden Cicada Temple lost something, the monk said lightly, looking at Su Zimo and the others. I heard these few stole it. Now, I must trouble you to come with us. To impose guilt where none exists, there's never a shortage of excuses, Moonpluck Fairy said coldly. I don't care what excuses you have. Once we're at Golden Cicada Temple, you can explain yourselves, the fat monk said as he reached a large hand toward Moonpluck Fairy. Moonpluck Fairy snorted coldly. Her jade-like hand swept out with a burst of palm force. Boom! Their palms clashed, and the monk staggered back several steps. Moonpluck Fairy, however, remained calm and unshaken. The monk's expression darkened. With a loud shout, he commanded, "Take them down!" All around, the monks lifted their staffs. As they encircled the trio, they began to move in a circular formation, chanting. At once, a holy radiance enveloped them. Moonpluck Fairy's cold snort echoed. She rose gracefully, robes fluttering as her aura soared skyward. Her delicate fingers pointed into the void, ripples spreading through space. Behind her, her true fate manifested. The illusory image of a nine-flame phoenix appeared. Its cry shook the heavens, phoenix flames blazing. Wings spread wide, scorching the boundless world. The phoenix's piercing cry split the silence of the void, and suddenly the inn burst into flames. The innkeeper's face went pale. While scrambling to douse the fire, he shouted, "If you must fight, go outside. My little inn cannot withstand this. If you don't stop, I'll report this to the Brahma monarch god realm." But no one paid him any attention. Moonpluck Fairy formed seals with her hands. From her brow, a crescent moon erupted in radiance. The nine-flame phoenix's power instantly multiplied dozens of times, and diving at the fat monk. In moments, the entire inn was reduced to ashes. The surrounding monks screamed as they were sent flying in all directions. Still, the nine-flame phoenix pressed on, swooping once more. At that moment, a colossal Buddha's palm descended, smashing down. In the roar, the nine-flame phoenix was obliterated. Moonpluck Fairy's gaze sharpened as she looked ahead. From not far away, an old monk approached, clad in a purple kasaya, holding a Buddhist staff. 8 scars were visible on his bald head. His beard was white, his body radiant with Buddha's light. His skin was as smooth as a newborn child's, without a single wrinkle. As he walked, the crowd seemed to hear chants of Amitabha resonating all around. "There's no need to report to the Brahma monarch god realm," the old monk said calmly. "Our golden cicada temple is itself a part of the Buddha faction." He stood with staff in hand, like a Buddha descending to the mortal realm. In his murmurs, all things seemed to fall silent. 10,000 Buddhas appeared in the mind's eye, and the great Dharma wheel revolved. "It's the golden cicada lord," someone exclaimed in shock. Some devotees of the Zen sect even dropped to their knees. "Greetings, golden cicada lord." "Abbot!" The fat monk scrambled to his feet and bowed deeply. "I told you to invite the guests for questioning. Why did it turn into a brawl?" Golden cicada lord frowned. "They refused and even attacked us," the fat monk explained hurriedly. "A monk does not lie," Golden cicada lord snorted. "Wu Xing, do you admit your fault?" The fat monk immediately knelt. "This disciple is willing to accept punishment." "Since it's your first offense, rise," Golden cicada lord said, waving him off before walking toward Su Zimo and his companions. "That youth at the central plaza, was it you who injured him, young lady?" he asked, looking at Moonpluck Fairy. "It was me." "What of it?" Moonpluck Fairy replied. "All things have cause and effect. He harassed you and you struck him, that much is natural. But you were too heavy-handed. The cause does not balance the result," Golden cicada lord said evenly. For more chapters, visit novel Fire.net. "What do you propose then?" Moonpluck Fairy asked. "Come with me to Golden Cicada Temple. Suppress your body beneath the Buddha Tower for 30 years. After 30 years, you will be free," Golden Cicada Lord said calmly. "And if I refuse?" Moonpluck Fairy asked coldly. "Then it won't be up to you," Golden Cicada Lord replied. With a Buddhist gesture, his aura surged, as if a grand Buddha rose from the earth. "In that case, I can only ferry you across today." Moonpluck Fairy's eyes narrowed. From her brow, moonlight blossomed like a full moon in the night sky, her aura exploding upward. But when Golden Cicada Lord raised his hand, her moonlight was instantly suppressed. The overwhelming might of an immortal pressed down. "You have the heart of the moon, but not the virtue of the moon. Today, I shall strip away that moon within you," Golden Cicada Lord declared. Seeing Moonpluck Fairy immobilized, Su Zimo casually picked up his chopsticks and gave them a light flick. A single leaf of green vegetable shot forth like a blade, tearing through the heavens, and slashed toward Golden Cicada Lord. Boom! The monk's great palm was shattered. A thunderous shockwave blasted out, hurling Golden Cicada Lord backward. He crashed through several inns before finally stopping. "This dish tastes a little too heavy," Suzimo said casually. Golden Cicada Lord immediately rose to his feet, Buddha's chant resonating. His eyes turned golden, piercing through layers of void to stare at Suzimo. May I know who you are, noble sir? Just a guy eating his meal, Suzimo smiled. I heard you want to ferry others. But tell me, can you ferry yourself? You're with her, Golden Cicada Lord said gravely. That doesn't matter, Suzimo said with a grin. What you should be considering is, how will you leave here alive? I am of the Buddha faction. Do you dare kill me? Golden Cicada Lord said coldly. In Brahma City, being of the Buddha faction was the ultimate shield. Do you want to try? Suzimo slowly turned his head, smiling faintly. When Golden Cicada Lord met Suzimo's gaze, for reasons he couldn't explain, a trace of fear welled up in his heart. He asked, Then what do you want? How much do you think your life is worth? Suzimo asked lightly. Just say what you want, Golden Cicada Lord replied. Innkeeper, bring me brush and ink, Suzimo instructed the nearby innkeeper. As for the damages to your inn, ask him to pay. The innkeeper glanced toward Golden Cicada Lord. Golden Cicada Lord snorted coldly and tossed over several thousand spirit crystals. The innkeeper cautiously put them away, then retrieved brush and ink from the wreckage of the counter and set them before Suzimo. Demon Emperor Flower, Ghost Withered Branch, Mana Fruit, Void Sky Vine, Black Orchid. Suzimo wrote out a full page in flowing strokes. Since he was joining the Myriad Alchemy Gathering tomorrow, he was preparing a list of rare herbs he might need. By sunrise tomorrow, I want to see every item on this list, Suzimo said calmly. Golden Cicada Lord took the paper, glanced at it briefly, and his face darkened. Each herb listed was a high-grade treasure, some exceedingly rare, priceless, and virtually unobtainable. Sir, this request is far too excessive, Golden Cicada Lord said. You don't have to accept, Suzimo replied. If you value those herbs more than your life, that's your choice. You can also pretend to agree and secretly call on the Buddha faction for help. I don't mind. Regardless, tomorrow morning I expect to see these herbs. Only then will your life remain safe. Hearing this, Golden Cicada Lord stayed silent for a long time before finally gritting his teeth and nodding. I'll prepare them. Suzimo waved his hand dismissively, signaling him to leave. As Golden Cicada Lord's figure faded into the distance, Miss Jing asked, Aren't you afraid the Buddha faction will cause more trouble? As long as I pass the demon faction's assessment this afternoon, they'll naturally protect me, Suzimo replied. He stood up, shaking his head slightly. Such a pity about all that fine food. The autumn wind swirled across the sky, carrying a chill and bleakness before sweeping back through the yellowing leaves of the trees. Accompanied by Moonpluck Fairy and Miss Jing, Suzimo once again arrived at the Saint Sovereign Tower. A young man in black robes spotted him and walked straight over. You're here for the assessment, right? He asked. The Alchemy Gathering. Suzimo nodded. Master and the others are waiting inside. You're the last one, the black-robed youth said. How many people came? Suzimo asked. Counting you, 10 in total. All are well-known alchemists, the youth replied. Under his lead, Suzimo and his companions entered the inner chamber beside the hall. The chamber was spacious, filled with a rich fragrance of pills. One deep breath felt as if liquid spiritual energy was pouring into the meridians. When Suzimo stepped in, he found the black-robed elder already speaking. There were 6 men and 3 women present. You're late, the elder, with a glance at Suzimo, said indifferently. You only said afternoon, not a precise time. The afternoon isn't over yet, Suzimo replied. Friend, Elder Chen's word is law. Don't argue, one man interjected. Enough, sit. The elder waved his hand. He introduced himself. Those familiar with the demon faction may know me. I am Thousand Slaughters. You may call me Progenitor Thousand Slaughters. Before him were 10 stone platforms, each displaying various pills, dozens of kinds. With a wave of his hand, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters continued. On each of your tables are identical herbs, same potency, same age, same size. Now we will proceed to the central plaza. Each of you will refine a 6th grade 5-element blood-congealing god pill. Your performance will be judged by the quality of your pill. Hearing this, one youth asked, "Out of the 10 of us, how many will be chosen?" "Only one," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters replied. "The slots for the alchemy gathering are limited. Our demon faction has only 3. The other 2 are already decided." At these words, everyone stiffened. It meant the 10 of them were competitors and enemies. "Now, pack up your herbs and follow me," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said. "There is only one set of ingredients. Guard them well." Everyone nodded slightly and headed toward the central plaza. The 5-element blood-congealing god pill was a 6th grade pill, one of the more formidable within its rank. Pills were graded from 1 to 9, this much was common knowledge. Once a pill reached the 6th grade, its refinement would inevitably summon heavenly tribulation. "Do you think you can manage this?" Miss Jing asked worriedly. "Guess we'll find out," Su Zimo said with a smile. Led by Progenitor Thousand Slaughters, the group attracted considerable attention at the plaza. Not only passers-by, but even Buddha faction monks came to spectate. At their head was the infamous Ghost Buddha. When Progenitor Thousand Slaughters and Ghost Buddha locked eyes, both snorted coldly. "What's this? Couldn't find anyone better? Scraping the bottom of the barrel?" "Mind your own business," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said flatly. "Then let me see what kind of clowns you're testing today," Ghost Buddha sneered. Progenitor Thousand Slaughters stepped into the plaza and calmly announced, "Pick your spots and begin." The 10 nodded. With a wave, each summoned their cauldrons. 9 heavy pill cauldrons landed with a rumble. Only Su Zimo stood still. "Where is your cauldron?" Progenitor Thousand Slaughters asked. "I don't have one," Su Zimo said with a smile and shake of his head. "You call yourself an alchemist without a cauldron?" Progenitor Thousand Slaughters asked skeptically. "In my opinion, this friend should just quit now. Myriad Alchemy Gathering isn't for amateurs," one youth mocked. "Cauldrons are for ordinary alchemists. I never use them," Su Zimo replied calmly. "Absurd," a nearby alchemist snapped. "A cauldron is the lifeblood of an alchemist. Even the Alchemy God Tower's grandmasters wouldn't dare claim they could work without one. And you, a junior, dare boast such nonsense. Alchemy God Tower?" Su Zimo tilted his head. "Never heard of it." "You!" the alchemist pointed angrily, ready to lash out, but Progenitor Thousand Slaughters stopped him. "Enough!" Progenitor Thousand Slaughters waved his hand. He looked at Su Zimo. "I have a spare cauldron you can borrow. Though another's cauldron may not suit you, will you use it? Updates are released by novelfire.net. I said, "I don't need a cauldron to refine pills." Su Zimo shook his head. "If you insist, I won't force you," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said, waving him off. Inwardly, he already dismissed Su Zimo entirely. "I'll just watch how you refine without a cauldron," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said as he stepped back, leaving space for the contestants. The 10 alchemists all bore solemn expressions. Though a 6th grade pill wasn't overly difficult for them, in alchemy the grade came first, and the time taken came second. A true master could even take 1st grade ingredients and refine them to their absolute peak, achieving the perfect fusion those herbs could sustain. Around the plaza, spectators whispered among themselves. The Myriad Alchemy Gathering had been building momentum for a month already. Dao courts and imperial clans had scoured the land in search of alchemists, and enthusiasts from all directions had flocked here just to witness this grand event. The main event hadn't even started yet, and already this preliminary spectacle was drawing a crowd. On the Buddha faction's side, a disciple brought over a chair for Ghost Buddha, who sat down slowly. "Lord, do you think any of these people pose a threat?" A disciple whispered. "Let's watch first." "I doubt it, but sometimes hidden talents surface among common folk," Ghost Buddha said coolly. "This content belongs to novifire.net. He and Progenitor Thousand Slaughters had long been at odds, not just from clashing personalities, but because of the ongoing rivalry between the demon faction and Buddha faction. Though they constantly clashed, Ghost Buddha never truly underestimated Thousand Slaughters. By nature, he was cautious. "Brother, look, someone's refining pills up ahead. So many people are watching," a young girl shouted, holding a stick of candied hawthorn, her mouth sticky with syrup. She was about 13 or 14, with 2 lamb-fat braids tied neatly. When she smiled, a dimple appeared on her left cheek. Her skin was soft and pink, like porcelain, a picture of innocence and charm. Behind her stood a young man, indulgently carrying her on his back. "Higher, higher, I can't see," the girl cried, waving her candied fruit. The youth smiled helplessly, weaving swiftly through the dense crowd. In just a few breaths, he had brought her right to the front of the plaza. "Clear enough now?" he asked with a grin. "Yes," she nodded eagerly. "What's the point of watching alchemy contests? You'd be better off reading more pill manuals," the young man said with a sigh. "No, I want to watch," the girl pouted. At the center of the plaza, the contest had begun. Suzimo didn't rush. Instead, he glanced at the others. 6 of them were utterly ordinary, nothing worth noticing. But 3 stood out. One was a white-haired youth, his hair like snow, features chiseled, and eyes deep, strikingly handsome. His cauldron gleamed pure white. With a slap, it hummed to life. Flames like snow blazed forth, not cold, but searing hot. Snowflakes seemed to swirl under spring sunlight, condensing within the cauldron, crackling as they melted into fire. The second was a close-cropped youth, stern-faced, dressed in black robes. His cauldron was shaped like a lion. The lion's mouth gaped open, spewing flame as if roaring. Around him, fire-shaped like lions coiled and danced, as though spirit beasts had fused with his cauldron. The third was a woman in Confucian robes. Her black hair, tied with a butterfly ribbon, fell straight down her back. Her features were plain, but she had a quiet grace, beauty that grew the longer one looked. Before her stood a most unusual cauldron. From it came faint phoenix cries. Its form was that of a phoenix spreading its wings. The wings burned red, the forelegs blue, the head green, the eyes black, and the body golden. 5 flames of different colors merged into the shape of a phoenix. As the fire blazed, the void around it trembled, the sheer heat awe-inspiring. "It's the ancient Phoenix Furnace," someone exclaimed. "They say it was once the national cauldron of the ancient Phoenix god empire. After that kingdom was destroyed, the cauldron vanished. Who would have thought it would surface here, in this woman's hands? Who is she? She doesn't look familiar. Could she be a survivor of the ancient Phoenix god empire?" Speculation rippled through the crowd. The candied fruit girl's eyes widened. Such beautiful flames. Pretty flames, yes, but her alchemy skills are clumsy. A pity with such a furnace. The youth beside her remarked, "Brother, you're comparing everyone to yourself again." The girl teased with a giggle. "Even in the 9 heavens, few would dare claim certain victory against you." Within the plaza, the 9 others worked carefully, skillfully tossing herbs into their cauldrons. The quality of an alchemist's fire was crucial. The right flame not only melted ingredients faster but preserved their essence, raising the pill's final grade. Suzimo, meanwhile, yawned. He looked bored. Then he slowly raised his right hand. Up until now, his stillness had left many spectators curious. Now, as he finally moved, countless eyes locked onto him. A green flame burned on his palm. With a wave, Suzimo tossed out all the herbs progenitor Thousand Slaughters had given him, every last one. Watergrass, greenwood root, fire phoenix blood, white gold vine, and purple wisteria. 5-element herbs as the core, with others as auxiliaries. But instead of carefully sequencing them, Suzimo simply ignited them all at once in his green flame. "Reckless fool!" someone shouted angrily. "He's wasting precious herbs. Doesn't he know anything about alchemy?" After all, herbs often had conflicting properties. One needed to follow the cycles of the five elements, mutual growth and restraint. Yet Su Zimo had dumped them all together like a stew, and without even using a cauldron. Such crude behavior was worse than that of a novice. It was outrageous. But before the critic's voice even faded, a rich pill fragrance spread across the plaza. Whose pill is that? Already? Such a strong aroma. Far too strong for an ordinary 6th grade pill. This is top grade among top grade. The crowd buzzed in astonishment. Then gasps erupted as Su Zimo's green flames vanished, revealing a single pill floating in the air. The pill shimmered with all 5 elemental colors, rotating gently in the void. As it formed, glowing Dao runes lit up across its surface. At that instant, the clear sky darkened. Thunder rumbled. Clouds gathered overhead. This is a heavenly tribulation? Pill tribulation? But 6th grade pills don't cause this kind of lightning. Shock rippled through the crowd. Everyone knew, from 6th grade onward, pills summoned lightning. But normally 6th grade pill lightning was mere spectacle, harmless. This was something entirely different. The power of the 5 elements shot straight into the heavens. It transformed into 5 beams of light illuminating the skies, while the blood-fiend aura of the 5-element blood-congealing god pill grew ever denser. This pill, with blood-fiend as its core, suppressed and balanced by the 5 elements, and further reinforced by their power, could be considered a superior medicine among 6th grade pills. The lightning in the sky grew more and more violent. Normally, the phenomenon of pill tribulation for a 6th grade pill would never actually descend. Yet at this moment, the thunder above their heads loomed like a blade, carrying the omen that it might fall at any time. Are you kidding me? He can refine it like this. Did anyone count how long it took him just now? 10 seconds? Or 15? I feel like I've wasted my entire life of pill refining. May as well have been fed to a dog. All around, people were whispering in amazement. That little girl with the candied hawthorn licked the sugar coating, smiling. Did you see clearly now? No, I didn't understand a thing. The young man shook his head, his expression solemn. See, I told you, don't underestimate others, the girl replied smugly. Above, thunderclouds gathered thickly, as though the tribulation was about to strike. The rumble of thunder was already echoing through the air. Su Zimo waved his right hand, spirit force surging, and directly seized the 5-element blood-congealing god pill. With the pill's aura shielded, the thunder overhead gradually weakened. In the end, the clouds dispersed into nothingness, leaving the skies bright and clear once again, as if nothing at all had happened. Su Zimo stretched out his hand. The pill loosened, releasing dazzling 5-colored light. 6 shining runes appeared on its surface. The utmost limit of a 6th grade pill was 6 Dao runes. By the same rule, a 7th grade pill bore 7 Dao runes. The pill fragrance spread out, drifting for miles around. A sudden sound came from nearby. The white-haired youth's pill furnace flickered unsteadily, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The pill that had been moments away from completion instantly collapsed into waste. His face turned ashen. He had been so close to success, but seeing Su Zimo finish ahead of him, and with such unmatched quality, his Dao heart had been thrown into chaos. One small mistake was enough to ruin everything. That was the cruelty of pill refining. Until the final instant, no one could be sure of success. As the white-haired youth failed, the other participants completed their own pills one after another. But theirs were nothing remarkable, ordinary 6th grade pills, with only 1 or 2 Dao runes at best. The woman with the ancient phoenix furnace was the most outstanding among them, producing a pill with 5 Dao runes. Progenitor Thousand Slaughters stood, his gaze fixed deeply upon Su Zimo. Then he gathered up all of the participants' pills. There's no need to compare further, he has one. The woman with the ancient phoenix furnace said calmly. What is your name? Progenitor Thousand Slaughters asked, looking toward Su Zimo. Su Zimo. Very well. Later, follow me to the Saint Sovereign Tower. Progenitor Thousand Slaughters nodded. He glanced over at the other contestants, thought for a moment and said, "The 9 of you shall each receive 100 points, and 5 stalks of high-grade celestial herbs as a reward." The group quickly expressed their thanks. Oh. As the crowd dispersed, Ghost Buddha narrowed his eyes slightly. A disciple beside him whispered, "My lord, how should we deal with this? Did you understand his pill refining method just now?" Ghost Buddha asked. "What refining method? That was pure nonsense," the disciple replied. "Nonsense?" Ghost Buddha sneered coldly. "Could you, in such a short time, refine a pill of such quality?" The disciple fell silent. "This matter I shall judge for myself. You needn't interfere." Ghost Buddha waved his hand lightly. Su Zimo followed Progenitor Thousand Slaughters back to the chamber in the Saint Sovereign Tower. "To be honest, I underestimated you," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said directly. "What now?" Su Zimo asked. "I'll explain briefly about tomorrow's Myriad Alchemy Gathering. If you can help my demon faction achieve good results, we will certainly not treat you poorly," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said. "All I want is points," Su Zimo replied. "No problem," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters nodded. "Have you decided what pill you'll refine tomorrow?" "Naturally, the higher the grade, the better." At this, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters added, "Among the participants, the ones you must pay most attention to are those from the Alchemy God Tower and from Buddha faction." "Alchemy God Tower?" Su Zimo asked with a frown. "What kind of place is that? You're an alchemist and you don't know the Alchemy God Tower?" Progenitor Thousand Slaughters was surprised. "Who taught you to refine pills?" "I'm self-taught," Su Zimo shrugged. "Don't joke with me." Progenitor Thousand Slaughters clearly didn't believe it. "With skill like yours, how could you be without a master? Then tell me, does my method just now resemble anyone's?" Su Zimo asked. Progenitor Thousand Slaughters pondered for a while, then slowly shook his head. That pill refining just now had indeed succeeded, but it was nothing more than reckless mixing. There was no technique at all. But since Su Zimo had succeeded, there was nothing he could say. "You'll need to prepare your own refining materials. Whatever you want, tell me, and I'll try to provide it," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said. Su Zimo thought for a moment. Most of the ingredients he needed had already been arranged by Golden Cicada Lord. Only a few crucial main ingredients remained. "Find me 3 primary medicines," Su Zimo said. "The demon core of a 9 lives cat demon, a wisp of true immortal essence, and the dragon pearl of a 10,000-year golden dragon." At these words, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters' expression turned grim. Any one of these would be difficult enough to acquire, let alone all 3. "What pill are you trying to refine?" Progenitor Thousand Slaughters asked with a bitter smile. "You'll know when the time comes," Su Zimo replied. "To be honest, with my own ability, even I cannot manage it." Progenitor Thousand Slaughters shook his head. "Then have your entire demon faction search for them," Su Zimo said. "That's impossible." Progenitor Thousand Slaughters immediately refused. "What if I take first place in the Myriad Alchemy Gathering?" Su Zimo smiled. This, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters hesitated. The Myriad Alchemy Gathering concerned Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge, and that particle world was of immense importance. "You're confident you can win first place? Do you even know who your opponents are?" Progenitor Thousand Slaughters asked. "No matter who they are, that first place is mine," Su Zimo replied calmly. His voice carried neither arrogance nor disdain, only plain simplicity. Yet within it was a conviction that made it utterly persuasive. "Very well. I'll gamble on you," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said after a long silence, finally raising his hand. Check latest chapters at novelfire.net. "Tomorrow morning, I'll have those things delivered to you." The two spoke a little longer before Su Zimo departed. Moonpluck Fairy and Miss Jing were waiting outside. The 3 left the Saint Sovereign Tower, while Progenitor Thousand Slaughters went to seek out the main ingredients. He assigned his disciples to escort Su Zimo and his companions to rest. Beside the Saint Sovereign Tower was an inn, established by the Brahma monarch god realm. Back at the inn, Su Zimo turned to Miss Jing and asked, "How much do you know about the Alchemy God Tower?" In the 36 realms of the Mortal Ascension Heaven, the Alchemy God Tower is the strongest. This saying spreads throughout the Mortal Ascension Heaven. How could I not know? Miss Jing smiled. It's a holy land of pill refinement, representing the highest standard of alchemy in the entire Mortal Ascension Heaven. As she spoke, she suddenly realized something and quickly added, "Wait, are you saying that people from the Alchemy God Tower will be participating in this myriad alchemy gathering?" Her tone carried curiosity. After all, this competition concerned Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge, something like an internal affair of the Brahma Monarch God Realm. A supreme titan like the Alchemy God Tower would rarely involve itself in such matters. Not the Alchemy God Tower itself, but one of its disciples will be competing on behalf of Buddha faction, Su Zimo explained. This was something Progenitor Thousand Slaughters had told him. The Buddha and demon factions were sparing no effort now, almost to the point of madness. The myriad alchemy gathering was divided into two parts. One part was the competition between the Buddha and demon factions. The other part was the gathering of renowned alchemists from across the world for friendly duels. Originally, such contests would be held at the Alchemy God Tower. Later, the Alchemy God Tower collaborated with the Brahma Monarch God Realm to hold it in Brahma City, with the Alchemy God Tower presiding as host and judge. Its authority was self-evident. "Then you should be careful," Miss Jing reminded him. "People from the Alchemy God Tower are not simple. Get some rest." Su Zimo waved his hand and stepped into his room. Night deepened. A round moon hung in the sky. The silent darkness was like a furious beast, roaring endlessly. The streets outside gradually quieted. Su Zimo, seated cross-legged in cultivation, slowly opened his eyes. The candle on the table flickered and went out with a gust of wind. A figure had silently appeared in his room at some point, standing there wordlessly watching him. "Why bother climbing the window when there's a door?" Su Zimo chuckled. "Let's cooperate once," the shadow hidden in the void said in a low voice. "Cooperate in what?" Su Zimo asked. "You want to enter Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge, don't you?" the shadow said. "Tomorrow at the Myriad Alchemy Gathering, all you need to do is deliberately lose the match. I'll guarantee you free entry and exit from that world for 3 years. How about it?" "From Buddha faction?" Su Zimo smiled. "The source of this content is novel_fire.net. That doesn't matter. The deal is all profit, no loss," the shadow said. "Besides, you're not truly part of the demon faction. We can also ensure your safety." "And if I refuse?" Su Zimo asked. "A smart man wouldn't refuse," the shadow replied calmly. "Sorry then, I refuse," Su Zimo said with a smile. "Why? You don't lose anything," the shadow pressed. "Even if you side with the demon faction, it doesn't mean you can win first place." "No reason. I just don't like the feeling of losing," Su Zimo answered. The shadow was silent for a while, then suddenly turned into black smoke and vanished. Before Su Zimo could even turn around, the void behind him shattered. A long blade cut across the void, slashing straight at him. "Recruit me, then try to silence me?" Su Zimo snorted coldly. He flicked his fingers, colliding with the incoming blade tip. A resounding boom. The long blade shattered, and the figure hiding in the void was blown back violently. Smashing through dozens of walls along the way, the figure landed heavily out on the street. The shadow's face was indistinguishable. He didn't even tend to his injuries. He rose immediately and fled into the distance. Su Zimo only chuckled lightly, unhurriedly picking up a shard of the broken blade. With another flick of his finger, the fragment shot out like a streak of light. The fleeing shadow had already put several miles between them in just a few breaths. Seeing Su Zimo wasn't chasing, he finally exhaled in relief. He stopped at a courtyard. Inside the pavilion, Ghost Buddha was drinking tea with a young man while admiring the moon. Seeing the shadow arrive, Ghost Buddha asked with a smile, "Is it done?" But before the shadow could answer, the blade shard pierced through the void and came stabbing over. The shadow had no time to react, eyes full of terror. The young man beside him surged with spiritual energy. Wind rolling clouds, dragons roaring. He teleported behind the shadow, reaching for the shard. A wet puff, blood sprayed. The shadow collapsed heavily to the ground. The young man froze, staring blankly at his right palm. The shard had pierced straight through, unstoppable, then driven into the shadow's throat. Its force shattered the man's soul and his internal organs alike. "No saving him," Ghost Buddha said, shaking his head as he stood and looked at the corpse. "How interesting," the young man murmured, his gaze shifting eastward, toward the inn where Su Zimo lived. It was as though his eyes pierced through the layers of void, landing directly above the inn. "You all right?" Ghost Buddha asked. "It's nothing. But this was your misstep," the young man said. "You sent someone to assassinate without even investigating who he was." "What do we do now?" Ghost Buddha asked. "Let the competition proceed as normal. Trust the people from the Alchemy God Tower," the young man replied. He lifted his head slightly, gazing at the bright full moon, and said softly, "The moon waxes and wanes." The night passed without incident. At dawn, the first to arrive was Golden Cicada Lord, ordering his disciples to deliver celestial herbs to Su Zimo. Soon after, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters himself came. He carried 3 boxes, clearly containing the main ingredients. "I made a lot of bold promises in front of others and cashed out on countless favors. Only then did I manage to gather these 3 things," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said. "Don't let me down." "When does the competition begin?" Su Zimo asked. "It starts this morning, but other participants will go first. Our Buddha and demon factions won't compete until around noon," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters explained. His tone grew solemn as he added, "I've already investigated the 3 contestants representing Buddha faction. Aside from Jiangtu and Zhuo Yang, the third is said to be from the Alchemy God Tower. Until this morning, I couldn't confirm who." Progenitor Thousand Slaughters' expression grew heavy as he explained. "Zhuo Yang is a disciple Buddha faction has cultivated for years. Jiangtu was originally supposed to represent our demon faction, but they stole him away. Those 2 are about the same level. The real trouble is the Alchemy God Tower's representative." "Who?" Su Zimo asked. "Green Cloud," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said solemnly. "Who?" Su Zimo asked, puzzled. "In the Alchemy God Tower, he's the most renowned alchemist of recent years," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters replied gravely. "I don't know what kind of benefits Buddha faction promised, but they actually managed to bring him here. That puts me at ease," Su Zimo chuckled, patting his shoulder as he headed toward the inn's exit. "Come, let's go see the others compete first." When the group arrived at the central plaza, it was already packed with people. The entire Brahma city had gathered, crowding the place until not even a drop of water could pass through. Fortunately, since the demon faction was one of the hosts, they had their own reserved seating. As Su Zimo walked in, he noticed that many were already seated. Part of the audience consisted of elders from the Alchemy God Tower. Another part was from Buddha faction, and to his surprise, seated at the very front of the Buddha faction section was a young man, appearing very much like the leader. There were also a number of renowned alchemists from the Azure Frontier who had been invited. On the plaza, more than 1,000 alchemists were preparing to refine pills. The fragrance of pills filled the air, pill flames burned toward the heavens, and pill furnaces shook the ground. These are all the highest-level alchemists of the younger generation in the Mortal Ascension Heaven. You should watch closely, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said. Not bad, Su Zimo nodded. The alchemists refined skillfully, though each had different techniques. That one is Alchemy Sovereign Violet Sunday. The Violet Sun pill refinement method he created has been the most famous in recent years. For pills under grade 6, it practically doubles the efficiency. And that one, Alchemy Sovereign Black Slaughter, he uses the Heaven Slaughter pill refinement method. It was created 10,000 years ago by Progenitor Black Slaughter, who gathered countless strands of fiendish energy. This method uses that energy to expel all impurities from the pill, guaranteeing a 100% chance of producing the highest grade. Progenitor Thousand Slaughters explained one by one to Su Zimo. In truth, he was also trying to emphasize the importance of pill refinement methods. This competition was not something one could approach recklessly, as Su Zimo had done before. The demon faction would send 3 representatives to compete. Su Zimo was only one of them. Before long, the other 2 arrived. A man and a woman, their appearances somewhat alike. After Progenitor Thousand Slaughters introduced them, Su Zimo learned they were twins. The man was Wang Yuan, the woman Wang Yi. Both were alchemists the demon faction had cultivated over the years specifically for the Myriad Alchemy Gathering. The 3 of you must work together to seize victory for our demon faction, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters instructed. Rest assured, Elder, we will give it our all. Wang Yuan swore earnestly. Google see novelfire.net. Do not underestimate the opposition, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters warned. At that moment in the central plaza, pill refinement was reaching its final stages. One after another, pills began to be formed. Though each person's techniques varied, the Grand Tao is one. Ultimately, all produced pills. The only difference was in their grade. Every pill refinement method was meant to refine better, higher quality pills with greater ease. While Progenitor Thousand Slaughters was speaking with them, a young man slowly approached from not far away. Behind him was a little girl, still clutching a candied hawthorn stick in her hand, as if she could never put it down. The young man's demeanor was like a spring breeze, gentle and kind. He wore a tight-fitting black robe. His eyes were deep and pitch black. On the chest of his robe was the emblem of a pagoda. That's Green Cloud, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters whispered. The so-called most renowned disciple of the Alchemy God Tower's younger generation? Su Zimo asked. Exactly, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters nodded. Green Cloud first greeted several of the Alchemy God Tower's elders. Then, unexpectedly, he walked directly toward Su Zimo. Taoist Su, Green Cloud greeted him. We know each other? Su Zimo asked curiously. Yesterday, in the central plaza, I saw you refining pills, Green Cloud said with a smile. After returning, I pondered your method again and again, yet could not see through its mysteries. So I came to ask for guidance. May I know what method that was? Right now we're opponents, Su Zimo reminded him. It's merely an exchange about alchemy. Is victory or defeat so important? Green Cloud smiled. Not to me, but ask Progenitor Thousand Slaughters whether he thinks it's important. Su Zimo chuckled. Progenitor Thousand Slaughters' face darkened slightly. He said coldly, the competition is about to begin. Please return to Buddha faction's side. Otherwise it doesn't look good. Very well, Green Cloud smiled, shaking his head. After I defeat you, then we'll discuss. As Green Cloud walked away, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters snorted coldly. The first half of the competition had ended. Each alchemist displayed the pills they had refined. Elders of the Alchemy God Tower examined them one by one. About 10 minutes later, the top 3 were chosen. First place was a young man named Mo Yongyuan. He refined a grade 7 pill, the only grade 7 pill present, so naturally he took first place. Second place went to a woman named In Lihua, who refined a grade 6 pill with 6 Dao runes. The same as Zhang Heng, who also produced 6 Dao runes. But hers was a primal ancient cloud pill, more complex than Zhang Heng's 5 divinity resonance pill, so she claimed second place. So the second half of the competition is just us 6? Su Zimo asked. Others may still participate, but their results won't count, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters replied. This is the internal contest between the demon and Buddha sections. The so-called alchemy sage gave a long speech on stage. He then awarded prizes to the top 3. After that, it was time for the Buddha and demon factions. The realm lord of Brahma monarch god realm, Brahma Wenzhong, also made his appearance at this moment. He wore a black and gold robe, his face calm as he strode confidently onto the stage. He too gave a speech. But those familiar with the Brahma monarch god realm knew the sect's real strength lay with the Buddha and demon branches. As for the Realm Lord, his authority wasn't as high. Many matters weren't even his to decide. 1,000 slaughters. Looks like you won't stand a chance this year, Ghost Buddha chuckled. Wait and see. Progenitor 1,000 slaughters snorted. The Alchemy God Tower's people aren't invincible. The world is full of talents. 1,000 slaughters, you're just fooling yourself, Ghost Buddha sneered. With a wave of his hand, 3 disciples walked toward the center of the plaza. Jiang Tu, Zhuo Yang, and Green Cloud. The crowd erupted in discussion. Buddha faction's lineup this year is really strong. Indeed. Forget Green Cloud for now. Even Jiang Tu was once a prized disciple nurtured by the demon faction. But he defected at the last moment, putting the demon faction under great pressure. And who knows how far Green Cloud has grown by now. I remember 13 years ago, he challenged the 36 floors of the Alchemy God Tower and was undefeated. Later, he traveled across mountains and rivers, challenging alchemists everywhere, and never lost once. Now, 13 years later, he's rarely been seen refining pills in public. This may be the first time. The crowd buzzed with discussion, most of it praise for Green Cloud. As for the others, they were overshadowed, little more than background to him. Some even started gambling on the outcome. Green Cloud's odds were 1 to 30, yet almost no one bet against him. When the demon faction side, Su Zimo and the twins, stepped forward, the entire venue grew noticeably quieter. Who are these people from the demon faction? Why haven't I heard of them before? Progenitor 1,000 slaughters just recruited them yesterday at the square. You didn't come to watch? Someone laughed as they explained. Progenitor 1,000 slaughters is just clutching at straws. Jiang Tu was poached by the other side. What else could he do? Then how can they even compete? Isn't the demon faction doomed to lose? Of course, they'll just go through the motions. The crowd around them laughed, as if from the very start there had never been any suspense in this match. The alchemy sage scanned the 6 competitors with a sweeping gaze. He was the most revered elder of the Alchemy God Tower, addressed as the alchemy sage. His title alone showed his status. You 6 will have half an hour. There are no restrictions on materials, no restrictions on the type of pill. Once you've formed your pills, the results will be judged based on 3 criteria: grade, Tao runes, and time. The alchemy sage added, You 6 must not interfere with one another. Materials are self-provided. Now I announce the contest officially begins. As his voice fell, the other competitors all raised their right hands, summoning their pill furnaces. Some furnaces appeared as mighty dragons, others as floating clouds condensing into mist. Some manifested like ancient tripods, with exotic flowers blooming around them. Before the pills were even refined, the visions of their furnaces and the fragrance of pills spread for miles. Even ordinary cultivators who inhaled the scent felt refreshed in body and spirit. Especially that of Green Cloud. His furnace manifested like a blazing sun. The sun radiated across the world, transforming into a colossal golden crow soaring across the heavens. Some said the golden crow itself was the sun. Its burning solar flames scorched the void, turning it into blazing emptiness. The golden crow flapped its wings and, after a sharp cry, transformed back into a blazing furnace, landing before Green Cloud. The heat of the sun's true fire made the other competitors pale, forcing them to distance themselves from him. Only Su Zimo remained unmoved, yawning lazily. Brother, are you still not taking out a furnace? Green Cloud turned and asked. This chapter is updated by novelfire.net. Su Zimo shook his head slightly. Green Cloud's gaze deepened. He waved his right hand, and a black fruit appeared in the air. Inside the fruit, a grotesque ghost head roared ferociously. Dense killing aura poured out as if from the 9 netherworlds. A single fruit, birthing a demon. That's a ghost sovereign fruit. A nearby alchemist instantly recognized it. Pitch black, with a ferocious ghost head. At least a 10,000-year supreme ghost sovereign fruit. What kind of pill requires such a vicious material? Ghost sovereign pill? Mist fiend pill? Myriad ghosts blood-dissolving pill? None of those seemed to match. As the ghost head roared, it lunged at Green Cloud, intent on devouring its master. Green Cloud snorted coldly and flicked his right hand. 9 wisps of Hell Spirit essence scattered into the air. This Hell Spirit essence was extremely rare. In the 9 heavens, there existed a Mirage Tides heaven. When people died, their souls split into Yin and Yang. The Yang soul went to the Mirage Tides heaven to reincarnate. The Yin soul lingered with the corpse, guarding its grave. Hell Spirit essence could only be obtained 2 ways. Either by venturing into the Mirage Tides heaven itself, or by painstakingly collecting it over a very long time. The latter method was slow, but far more practical, since the Mirage Tides heaven lay unimaginably far away. When the 9 wisps of Hell Spirit essence appeared, the ghost head looked as if it had found food. It abandoned Green Cloud and devoured them all, one by one. As the Hell Spirit essence entered its body, the ghost head's aura grew even stronger, roaring with increased ferocity. The void cracked apart as endless evil chi gathered, nearly blotting out the sky. Only then did Green Cloud act. With a wave of his hand, the furnace before him transformed into the Golden Crow's phantom and clashed with the ghost head. The 2 colossal beings fought in the air like a grand play. The sun's true fire burned fiercely, while the ghost's fiendish aura spread wildly. Taking this chance, Green Cloud tossed hundreds of auxiliary herbs into the air. Demon Bane Vine, Blazing Fire Mycelium, Devil Heart Grass, Autumn Woe Dew, Earth Burial Blossom, White Orchid Fruit. Each one was extraordinary. Any of them could serve as a main ingredient outside. So many priceless herbs at once left the crowd stunned, speculating in hushed tones. What pill could this possibly be? On the seats to the side, Ghost Buddha turned to the alchemy sage with a smile. Nephew Green Cloud's alchemy has improved by leaps and bounds these past years. Even I cannot tell what pill he is making. The 9 ghosts' soul-devouring pill, the alchemy sage replied with a faint smile. Then he added, a 9th grade pill, capable of producing 9 Tao runes. At that, the entire arena fell silent. Even Ghost Buddha was shaken. A 9th grade pill, this was no trivial matter. Just beneath the level of imperial pills, it was the pinnacle of mortal alchemy. And not just any 9th grade, but one capable of 9 full Tao runes, something even he wouldn't dare claim he could refine. Alchemy sage, surely you jest? Ghost Buddha said in disbelief. What's there to jest about? The alchemy sage shook his head. Green Cloud has that ability. Otherwise, how could he stand as the leading figure of our Alchemy God Tower's younger generation? Beside Ghost Buddha, the silent young man simply watched the arena with great interest. As the Golden Crow battled the Ghost Sovereign, the auxiliary herbs fused into the struggle. The sun's true fire grew ever stronger, while the Ghost Sovereign, after a long struggle, finally weakened. It was devoured by the Golden Crow in a single gulp, after which the crow transformed into a vast pill cauldron. The cauldron vibrated in the air, flames surging higher and higher. Su Zimo watched this scene and chuckled softly. Green Cloud truly was a formidable opponent. Without the primordial alchemy god scripture, Zimo might not have been able to guarantee victory. After all, he had rarely devoted time to studying alchemy. But now, with the 10 primordial god scriptures in hand, there was little he could not do. He had no furnace, for his alchemy method was unique. The primordial alchemy god scripture had taught him an ancient, long-lost method of pill refining. Supreme Primordial Cloud Hands. This method had later fallen into the possession of the Wang God clan, one of the 10 primordial bloodlines. Outside of their clan, it was virtually extinct in the 9 heavens. Few had seen it, fewer still knew of it, most only heard vague legends. Besides the Supreme Primordial Cloud Hands, the scripture also recorded millions of pill recipes, of every grade and effect imaginable. Su Zimo raised his hands, an azure spirit force burst forth. The energy transformed into tens of thousands of thin threads in midair. Each thread had to be controlled individually, and to manage tens of thousands at once spoke to the immense mental focus required. As the countless threads danced through the air, Su Zimo tossed all his herbs upward into the void. The medicinal herbs were tossed into the void. Su Zimo did not refine them one by one. Instead, he merged them all at once. As the azure flames burned, the tens of thousands of threads under his control had already arranged the order of fusion. But with the blazing azure fire enveloping everything, no one else could see clearly. He threw in the three main ingredients together. The first, the demon core of the 9 lives cat demon. This was a legendary beast, said to possess 9 lives. Each death marked a metamorphosis. After 9 transformations, it could directly ascend into the God Meridian realm, making it exceedingly rare. When the cat demon's core rose into the air, a phantom of the 9 lives cat demon appeared, screeching. Its sharp claws frantically tore at the void, trying to escape. The second main ingredient was the dragon pearl of a 10,000-year golden dragon. But 10,000 years did not literally mean 10,000. It meant 1,000,000 years of life. For dragons, a year was not the same as for humans. For humans, a year was 365 days. But for golden dragons, 1 year equaled 36,500 days. Thus, a 10,000-year golden dragon lived for about 1,000,000 human years. The dragon pearl exuded boundless might, its dragon's majesty shaking the heavens and stirring storms. In the vast void, the cat demon and golden dragon roared together, their deafening cries swallowing the world. The final main ingredient, a wisp of immortal essence. What was immortal essence? In the 9 heavens, there existed immortal monarchs who could battle grand emperors. A grand emperor possessed a Tao source, while an immortal monarch had an immortal spring. Countless strands of immortal essence condensed into the immortal spring, just as gas condenses into liquid. Such energy could only belong to an immortal monarch. Witnessing Su Zimo's grand display, the crowd erupted in chatter. Who is this guy? Didn't they say the demon faction was scraping the bottom of the barrel? What kind of bottom of the barrel is this? He and Green Cloud have completely overshadowed everyone else. At first, I thought this match was hopeless. Now it looks like things just got interesting. On the stands, the Buddha faction side, who had been certain of victory, now showed visible unease. Ghost Buddha glanced at the young man beside him. This youth was the leader of the Buddha faction's group, yet since arriving he had not spoken, only watching quietly. I knew that brat wasn't simple, Ghost Buddha snorted. Don't be anxious. Keep watching, the youth replied with a smile. Trust in Green Cloud. Meanwhile, Thousand Slaughters finally exhaled, wiping the cold sweat from his brow. Although the outcome was still uncertain, at least there was suspense now, not like before where they were immediately crushed. Judging from the scale, Su Zimo was also refining a 9th grade pill. If it had only been 8th grade, even success wouldn't matter. The difference in grade was an innate disadvantage. While refining, Green Cloud also spared glances at the others. The other 4 were making 8th grade pills, unworthy of concern. Only Su Zimo puzzled him. He could not fathom his pill technique. To divide his focus into 10,000 parts, controlling so many threads at once, Green Cloud admitted he could not do that. It seems coming to this myriad alchemy gathering was not in vain. Green Cloud laughed loudly. He raised his hand toward the sky. Within the Golden Crow furnace, blazing solar fire raged. His hands quickly formed seals, one after another, striking the furnace. Above his head, thunderclouds began to gather. Clear skies darkened instantly. Boom! 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 Bolts of silver-white lightning rolled within the clouds, thunder rumbling, flashes darting about. The dark clouds above grew denser and denser, like black clouds pressing a city to ruin. Around the central plaza, the 9 alchemy dragon pillars seemed to respond to the aura. Golden power surged upon them. The 9 pillars linked together. At the critical moment of the Golden Crow furnace, a deafening boom split the air. A blinding thunderbolt fell, like dawn light tearing through darkness, crackled violently through the void. At the same time, from the 9 alchemy dragon pillars, 9 golden dragons soared into the sky. Their roars resounded through Brahma City. Brilliant golden radiance filled the heavens, blocking the thunderbolts. But the lightning would not relent. More bolts struck down amidst thunderous roars. They tried to shatter the barrier of the dragon pillars, but to no avail. For those 9 pillars existed precisely to counter pill tribulations. From within the Golden Crow furnace came harsh noises, its tremors growing more violent. As it shook, the surrounding void was incinerated. Nothing could draw near. After 5 or 6 minutes, Green Cloud's aura surged to its peak. His robes billowed, his long hair danced without wind. The furnace once again transformed into the phantom of the Golden Crow, soaring through the sky. During all this, the lightning tribulation above never ceased. The Golden Crow cried out as it flapped, and Green Cloud opened his palm. The crow flew into his hand, instantly dissipating. In its place was a single black pill, resting in his palm. As the pill took shape, the thunder above gradually faded. When the pill was complete, the tribulation naturally dispersed. Opening his hand, Green Cloud revealed the black pill. Visions swirled endlessly around it. Like a hellish purgatory, the 9 ghosts soul-devouring pill bore 9 distinct ghost heads, each emerging vividly. Every ghost head was different, chilling to behold. "A 9th-grade pill!" Gasps erupted from the crowd. As each of the 9 ghost heads roared in turn, 9 radiant pill marks lit up. Green Cloud smiled with satisfaction, putting the pill away. Then he turned his gaze toward Suzimo. He saw Suzimo was in no hurry, even stifling a yawn. No pill furnace, only azure flames burning around the materials. No thunder tribulation had yet appeared. Just as Green Cloud thought this, the skies suddenly darkened. By this time, the others had finished their pills too. But compared to Green Cloud's 9 ghosts soul-devouring pill, they caused no stir. Each quietly stepped back, all eyes now fixed on Suzimo. This content belongs to NovelFire.net. He alone remained. "Green Cloud's chances of winning are high," Ghost Buddha said with a grin. The alchemy sage nodded slightly. Even if Suzimo refined a 9th-grade pill, what of it? Judgment was based on grade, pill marks, and time. In grade, both were 9th grade, so a tie. In pill marks, 9 was the limit, again a tie. As for time, it was obvious Green Cloud had finished first. Suzimo casually fused the flames. From within, the azure fire radiated immense power. Above, the thunder tribulation loomed, and Suzimo raised his head slightly, gazing at the heavens. Finally, lightning began to stir. The golden dragons of the alchemy dragon pillars roared. Within the azure flames, a dragon's roar also echoed. It was the dragon pearl of the 10,000-year golden dragon, faintly resonating with the pillars. For a moment, dragon roars resounded across heaven and earth. The lightning tribulation struck again, but the result was the same. The alchemy dragon pillars blocked everything, so the lightning could not harm Suzimo. "Looks like it's a 9th-grade pill," Green Cloud muttered. The ending seemed already set. The pill thunder fell again and again, while the azure flames churned violently. It was clearly reaching its finale. The lightning was beginning to disperse, and the pill was nearly formed. Just then, Suzimo suddenly waved his right hand. He forcibly pulled the half-formed pill out of the azure fire. On this pill, the phantom of a golden dragon and the 9 lives cat demon were halfway merged. It had become a strange creature, neither dragon nor cat. Its head was feline, but dragon horns sprouted from its skull. Most striking of all were its eyes, merged into a pair that was both shadowy and majestic. Its body bore both dragon scales and cat fur, with razor-sharp dragon claws extending outward. "Has he gone mad?" Green Cloud exclaimed in shock. The pill was almost finished, but doing this would destroy it completely. Suzimo stepped into the air, leaving the protection of the alchemy dragon pillars. Now unshielded, he faced the heavenly lightning head-on. He tossed the unfinished pill into the void. The tribulation had been about to fade away, but with the pill reappearing, the lightning grew fiercer than ever. It gathered in the heavens, as if provoked, intent on destroying the pill instantly. The silver-white lightning turned into black thunder, descending with the aura of world destruction. Yet Su Zimo remained unmoved, watching calmly as his pill was engulfed. Only then did he slowly extend his right hand. Azure spirit force of the supreme primordial cloud hands condensed in his palm. When he stretched his hand upward, that azure energy suddenly erupted. It became a towering beam of light, surging with immense power, stabbing into the heavens as though to tear apart the tribulation above. The endless azure aura surged, plunged into the storm, and the skies turned pitch black. Everyone looked upward. Only Su Zimo stood there, alone. His black robes fluttered in the wind, his gaze calm, with endless lightning flashing in his eyes. His presence suppressed all beneath heaven. Facing the boundless thunder alone, a single man's power could shake the heavens. What is he trying to do? I've never heard of this kind of pill refining method. Even the alchemy sage of the Alchemy God Tower frowned deeply. He had spent his whole life in alchemy in the mortal ascension heaven, if not invincible, then close to it. Few in the world surpassed him. His breadth of knowledge was unmatched. And yet this youth's pill refinement, he could not understand it at all. There could only be one explanation. This pill refining method was not of the mortal domain. The 9 heavens were vast and boundless, only that could explain it. At this moment, Su Zimo's solemn, mysterious voice resounded from the void. 38 tribulations of the alchemy Tao. Chaos moves infinitely, mirroring the heavens. Numbers, collisions, divergence. Image, calculation, separation. The meaning of primordial alchemy responds to heaven. Heaven, earth, and man, none can contain it. Primordial alchemy, that is the true alchemy Tao. When the primordial alchemy God scripture is inscribed, the celestial will takes form. These words were the preface of the primordial alchemy God scripture, its prologue. Primordial alchemy, primordial alchemy. The alchemy sage muttered below. As he repeated Su Zimo's words, his eyes glazed over, losing all focus, as if entering a trance. Updates are released by NovelFire.net. Alchemy sage, what's wrong? Ghost Buddha asked nearby. But the alchemy sage did not respond. He only murmured those words again and again. After some time, he suddenly lifted his head, his eyes snapping wide open, as if a realization had struck him. Alchemy sage, are you all right? Ghost Buddha pressed. The primordial alchemy, that is the primordial alchemy God scripture. The elder whispered, his face pale, shaken with both excitement and despair. As his words fell, the heavens had already reached a conclusion. The vast tribulation clashed with Su Zimo for half a moment, then obliterated the pill completely before vanishing without a trace. The pill tribulation came swiftly, and left just as swiftly. The sky cleared. Instantly, the sun shone bright again, as if nothing had happened. The lightning's gone, the crowd murmured. What about his pill? Looks like it was destroyed by the lightning. Titich, I thought he had something amazing. Turned out to be all bark and no bite. Could it be he knew he was going to lose, so he staged this spectacle on purpose? In the stands, Ghost Buddha's face lit with excitement. He turned to the alchemy sage, saying with a laugh, "What primordial alchemy God scripture? Elder, just announce the results." His pill was destroyed. Green Cloud's pill is a supreme 9th grade pill. He should take first place. As expected of one trained by the Alchemy God Tower, young and promising. He continued to offer congratulations, but the alchemy sage remained motionless, his gaze fixed solely on Su Zimo. Su Zimo descended from the void. With a wave of his right hand, at the distant horizon, an immortal dragon emerged, stirring the clouds as it flew toward him. This dragon bore true spirit. It coiled through the air, shining with endless radiance. With a flick of Su Zimo's hand, the dragon turned into a pill, floating toward him. Another wave, and the pill turned back into a dragon, soaring once more. What kind of pill is this? Green Cloud asked. The 9 lives immortal dragon pill. Su Zimo smiled. I've heard of pills with spirit, manifesting in physical form, Green Cloud muttered. Legend says that the 34th Supreme Alchemy God once refined such a pill. At that time, the primal god race and the 10 primordial bloodlines were at war. When he produced this pill, it too had spirit, transforming into a colossal ancient giant. On that battlefield, it was invincible, slaughtering the primal god race until none remained. That battle made his name resound across the world. Later generations called such pills imperial pills. At this, Green Cloud exhaled deeply, filled with awe. Most people see alchemy as an auxiliary path. Yet they do not realize that when cultivated to its peak, pills too can decide the fate of the world. Unstoppable. Among the 3,000 Grand Daos, why should the alchemy Dao fear any other? This can't be considered a true imperial pill at most. A pseudo-imperial pill, Su Zimo smiled. But your pill is clearly 9th grade. How could it step into pseudo-imperial rank? At these words, Green Cloud bowed deeply to Su Zimo. Please, enlighten me, guide me. Su Zimo chuckled, pointing toward the sky. He asked, what is the purpose of a pill tribulation? The Grand Dao does not permit certain pills to exist, so heaven sends down tribulation to destroy them, Green Cloud replied. Then you've taken the wrong path, my friend, Su Zimo said, patting his shoulder with a smile. If a mere 9th grade pill is not tolerated by heaven, then what of imperial pills or even stronger pills? Wouldn't they be beyond heaven's laws? Green Cloud frowned slightly. Without a storm, how can there be a rainbow? Without the baptism of pill tribulation, how could an imperial pill be forged? Su Zimo replied. Think on it. Carefully taste it. Green Cloud opened his mouth. It felt as if countless words surged within him, but when they reached his lips, he couldn't say a thing. He had always believed that pill tribulation existed to destroy pills. Now, with Su Zimo's words, that belief was shattered, told instead that pill tribulation was a baptism for pills. His thoughts tangled into a chaotic knot. Watching Su Zimo's departing figure, Green Cloud felt that back was incomparably grand, like the setting sun stretching a shadow infinitely long. Referee, aren't you going to announce the verdict? Su Zimo asked, looking at the alchemy sage. The alchemy sage snapped back to reality, hurrying forward. Ghost Buddha and Progenitor Thousand Slaughters quickly followed, and people from the Buddha and demon factions crowded around. The alchemy sage examined the results carefully. The other contestants had produced 8th grade pills, which he dismissed immediately. He looked at Green Cloud's pill and declared, 9th grade pill, 9 ghost soul-devouring pill. Then he stepped before Su Zimo. He reached out to take the pill, but it resisted his hand, pushing him away. Su Zimo flicked his finger lightly, sending the pill into the elder's palm. The alchemy sage carefully cradled it before his eyes, scrutinizing every detail. Elder, make sure you examine it properly, Ghost Buddha pressed. Is it truly a pseudo-imperial pill, or merely a 9th grade pill? In all my years of pill appraisal, I have never once been wrong, the alchemy sage replied calmly. The pill in his hands was flawless, like crystalline amber, yet within it flowed countless strange visions. The pill had spirit. Its aura surged like a river. Immortal essence drifted like endless smoke. It is indeed a pseudo-imperial pill, the alchemy sage nodded. He turned to Su Zimo. May I ask, young friend, was the method you used from the primordial alchemy god scripture? You've got some eye for detail, Su Zimo nodded. It was your prologue that awakened me, the elder admitted, shaking his head. Could you tell me, what is your connection to the Wang God clan? The Wang God clan was one of the 10 primordial bloodlines, the ones who held the primordial alchemy god scripture. If I don't say, don't bother asking, Su Zimo smiled. The elder inclined his head. Since Su Zimo didn't want to answer, he wouldn't pry. In that case, this match has no suspense left. The winner is... Wait! The elder's words were cut off. Ghost Buddha stepped forward. I have an objection. What are you trying to do? Progenitor Thousand Slaughters frowned. He refined some so-called immortal dragon pill, but who knows if it actually works. I've never even heard of it, Ghost Buddha said coldly. Are you questioning my judgment? The alchemy sage turned his gaze on him. No, don't misunderstand, Ghost Buddha waved quickly. I simply mean, I don't understand what effects this pill has. The 9 Lives Immortal Dragon Pill. Su Zimo lifted the pill with a smile. As its name suggests, it can transform into a dragon god. That is its external use. Internally, if consumed, it grants 9 lives. 9 lives? Ghost Buddha chuckled mockingly. What a joke. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Don't use your shallow vision to judge all things under heaven. Su Zimo replied flatly. These 9 lives refer to unnatural deaths. If one dies of old age, not even 9 lives can save them. I don't believe it, unless you prove it, Ghost Buddha pressed stubbornly. Then take the pill yourself. I'll kill you 9 times. Want to try it? Su Zimo asked. I'll have a disciple test it, Ghost Buddha said. He waved, and a young man in golden kasaya strode forward. The youth offered a Buddhist salute, then said, Disciple is willing to test the pill. This is a pseudo-imperial pill, something unseen for 1,000 years in the mortal ascension heaven. Fool, you'd waste it like this? The alchemy sage barked angrily. If he doesn't test it, how can we prove its effects? Ghost Buddha countered. This so-called 9 Lives Immortal Dragon Pill, I've never once heard of it. Let him test it, Su Zimo waved casually. It's just a pill. I can make more anytime. Seems the Brahma monarch god realm has fallen so far, they've never even heard of a pseudo-imperial pill. Newest update provided by novlfire.net. He handed the pill to the Kasaya youth. The youth swallowed it in one gulp. Instantly, immortal chi surged from his body, and a dragon's shadow shimmered faintly at his brow. How does it feel? Ghost Buddha asked. The youth shook his head slightly. Try it, Su Zimo said. Ghost Buddha frowned, then struck out with his palm. His force was fierce, directly obliterating the youth in one blow. But before his soul could disperse, a celestial dragon coiled down, seizing his soul, forcing it back into his body. Immortal essence surged, filling the area. The youth's body floated into the air. A moment later, his eyes snapped open, confused, yet alive again. Ghost Buddha's face darkened. Still want to test further? Su Zimo asked. One time means nothing, Ghost Buddha snorted. He struck again. The result was the same. Again and again he killed the youth 2 times, 3 times, up to 9 times. Even then, he raised his sword to strike once more. Enough, Ghost Buddha. The blue-robed youth, the silent leader of the Buddha faction delegation, finally spoke. Do you mean to kill him? Ghost Buddha snapped out of his frenzy, sweat pouring down his face. Forgive me, Lord Chang, he said hurriedly. The youth waved a hand. Losing a contest isn't the end. Win it back 3 years from now. Don't ruin yourself over this. I understand, Ghost Buddha nodded, still shaken. He had overseen this myriad alchemy gathering, and could not accept defeat so easily. The blue-robed youth turned to Su Zimo, smiling. I am Chang of the Buddha faction. A pleasure to meet you. Su Zimo. Su Zimo nodded lightly. I know. We'll meet again, Chang said with a faint smile, then departed with Ghost Buddha and the Buddha faction retinue. Watching him leave, Su Zimo frowned slightly. That one had the air of a smiling tiger. Don't worry. With our demon faction here, they won't dare act recklessly, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said cheerfully. His mood was excellent. Just remember our agreement, Su Zimo reminded him. Rest assured. Tomorrow, I'll arrange for you to enter Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge. Progenitor Thousand Slaughters replied. Best if it's today, Su Zimo said evenly. Then this afternoon, Progenitor Thousand Slaughters agreed readily. Having won the contest, he could give the demon faction an explanation. Naturally, he was willing to promise anything now. Su Zimo nodded and turned to leave the central square. but the alchemy sage stopped him. Friend Su, would you be interested in becoming a guest elder at my alchemy god tower? The alchemy sage asked with a smile. No interest. Su Zimo shook his head. The position will always be open to you, the elder said warmly. Su Zimo waved it off, then left the square with Moonpluck Fairy and Miss Jing. Where to now? Miss Jing asked. You mentioned there's a place here called the Border Tower, Su Zimo said. Let's check if they have any information about the Shenyuan clan. Miss Jing nodded. The three walked along the main street of Brahma City. On one side stood a deep mansion, built of plain green bricks and tiles, yet imposing in its presence. 2 guards stood at the gate. Their uniforms resembled that of county constables. Long sleeves 3 feet wide, dark blue tunics fastened on the right, crescent-shaped sabers at their waists, and upright officials' hats atop their heads. Above the gate, a plaque gleamed with 2 radiant characters, Border Tower. The trio entered. The guards did not stop them. The estate stretched vast, no end in sight. Ancient-style buildings rose everywhere. One word captured it: grand. Guards in matching uniforms walked everywhere, many carrying rolls of bamboo slips in their arms. Some staggered from carrying too many. The floor beneath their feet was paved with flawless white jade. This is the largest intelligence hub in Brahma City, Miss Jing explained. They don't collect news from the outside world. Their specialty is information on Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge. Big or small, whether it's world events or what someone ate today, it's all recorded clearly. Seriously, Su Zimo chuckled. You can try asking. Maybe they really do have something on the Shenyuan clan, Miss Jing said. After wandering a bit and asking a few passing guards, they arrived before a great hall. A middle-aged man with a mustache, dressed in a blue robe, stepped forward to receive them. Are the 3 of you here seeking information? He asked. Su Zimo nodded. He glanced around the hall. The furnishings were simple. A few bookcases, several wooden tables, and an incense burner spreading fragrance throughout the chamber. Do you have a border support token? The man asked. What's the use of it? Su Zimo shook his head. You must be new here, the man smiled. For ordinary inquiries, a token isn't needed, but for confidential matters, it is. Would information about the Shenyuan clan be considered confidential? Su Zimo asked. At his words, the man froze slightly, then smiled quickly. Please, follow me inside. With a wave of his hand, the hall's smooth wall split open, revealing a small, shadowy doorway. The passage stretched deep into the unknown. They followed the man through and found themselves in a vast inner space divided into many small rooms. Entering one such room, they sat down. You want news of the Shenyuan clan? The man asked, taking a seat himself. More precisely, we want their location, Su Zimo answered. And who might you be? The man smiled faintly. Here for the Grand Pivot Godsword? Since when does Border Tower investigate its clients' intentions? Su Zimo replied with a smile. Normally we don't. But when it comes to the Shenyuan clan, we must, the man explained with a wave. We're just ordinary rogue cultivators. Nothing worth asking, Su Zimo said casually. Even if you told me, I might not recognize it. Who told you the Shenyuan clan resides in Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge? The man pressed. Don't you think you're asking a bit much? Su Zimo said flatly. Then I have nothing to tell you. The man shook his head. You never intended to tell us anyway, did you? Su Zimo stood and asked back. Go home, the man said indifferently. That is not a place for you. So you do know something, Su Zimo said. Many before you came for the Grand Pivot Godsword, ignoring warnings. They all became corpses. By now, nothing but bones remain. That's enough, Su Zimo said with a smile. Enough? What do you mean? The man frowned. Your answer told me everything. Just knowing the Shenyuan clan is in that particle world is enough, Su Zimo said. The rightful source is nofire.net. The man waved dismissively, offering no further response. He rose and began tidying the table beside him. Only after Su Zimo and his companions left did he stop. His figure then hurried deeper into the inner rooms. "What do you think?" Miss Jing asked outside. "They'll report to the Shenyuan clan. We've startled the snake," Su Zimo said with a smile. "But it doesn't matter. I never planned to sneak in quietly." "You mean the border tower has ties to the Shenyuan clan?" Miss Jing asked, surprised. "Trust my instincts." Su Zimo smiled faintly. Leaving the border tower, he looked toward Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge's direction. "Seems this trip will have its share of twists. Want us to come with you?" Miss Jing asked. "No need," Su Zimo waved. "If I can't handle it, you won't be able to either." He chuckled, then glanced strangely at Miss Jing. "I only hope that when I return, you're still here." "I'll be waiting for you, of course," Miss Jing said with a smile. "Good," Su Zimo nodded. The three reached the Saint Sovereign Tower, where Progenitor Thousand Slaughters was already waiting. This time, instead of the right side chamber, they went straight into the left corridor. There lay a massive formation. Dark demonic energy and golden Buddhist radiance circled around it, swirling together into twin clouds that spun over the formation. On the ground within its bounds, countless intricate runes were carved. As they approached, the runes released tremendous power, each one rising into the void as energy. 49 cultivators stood around the formation, each controlling a section of the runes. "Open!" someone shouted. Instantly, the void quaked, the heavens shook, the earth split. Countless runes shimmered in the void, condensing into a towering gate of space. The gate stretched nearly 100 meters high, and standing before it made one feel utterly insignificant. A devouring force rippled outward as a clockwise vortex spun within the void gate. "Go on. This is the entrance to Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge," Progenitor Thousand Slaughters said. "As for the exits, there are many within. Each one leads to a different place. You'll see for yourself once you're inside." "Do me a favor," Su Zimo replied. "What is it?" Progenitor Thousand Slaughters asked. "Outside, I've got 2 companions. Help me keep an eye on them," Su Zimo said. "What's this?" "Afraid your 2 girlfriends will run off." Progenitor Thousand Slaughters chuckled. "Whether they're friends or enemies, I'll only know when I return," Su Zimo said with a faint smile. Progenitor Thousand Slaughters froze for a moment, then nodded. "I won't let them leave Brahma City." Su Zimo gave a slight nod. With that, he stepped forward and entered the gate of space. Each time-space traversal was like this, heaven and earth spinning wildly, consciousness thrown into disarray, and the void shifting without pattern. The spatial nodes shifted ceaselessly. A particle world like this had no fixed nodes, and its spatial walls were terrifyingly strong. Other than through a space gate, entering by any other means was practically impossible. He didn't know how long he drifted in this void exile until finally, a glimmer of light appeared and pulled his figure through. When he opened his eyes, he was already standing on a reception platform. This platform existed to welcome new arrivals. Nearby, several disciples from the Buddha and demon factions stood watch. "Register here," one disciple said, handing Su Zimo a crystalline token. "All who enter Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge need an identity token. When you leave, return it to us. If you lose it along the way, make sure to replace it quickly, or the consequences will be severe." Su Zimo took the token, and a glow flared from its surface. A condensed silhouette of his body appeared and was etched into the token, his identity record. "All right, you may go." The disciple waved him off. "Excuse me," Su Zimo asked. "How do I get to South Marshall Pass?" "This is Northslayer Pass. Head south and you'll reach it," the disciple explained. "But it's a long journey. Best to rent a beast mount." Su Zimo nodded slightly and set off. In the distance, he could already see the grandeur of Northslayer Pass, towering and boundless. The 4 great passes, east, south, west, and north, linked together like a vast great wall, rising and falling endlessly, encircling the entire small world. After walking for 10 minutes or so, Su Zimo reached the western gate of North Slayer Pass. Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge was bustling with life. At the gates, streams of people came and went. The Brahma monarch god realm maintained order here. Both sides of the entrance avenue were lined with countless stalls. Vendors hawked every kind of wares imaginable. Step right up. Inherited legacies, divine manuals, blades, spears, swords, everything you could want. Maps to South Marshall Pass, 38,000 kilometers to the boundaries of Blackwater Lake. All noted down. A must-have for travelers. The shouts of merchants overlapped in a chaotic chorus, filling the air with heat and vigor. Brother, need a map? As Su Zimo passed by, a man blocked his way with a grin, holding out a rolled-up map. If you're planning to explore Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge, a map is essential, he said. He opened the map briefly, then snapped it shut. I've marked many locations on this one, even dangerous zones and forbidden lands. Everything is crystal clear. You've got a good face, so I'll give it to you for just 10,000 spirit crystals. How many people have you sold this map to? Su Zimo asked with a smile. What, don't believe me? The man retorted. I've got professional ethics. These maps are solid. So you've got maps to anywhere? Su Zimo asked. Then give me one for 100 Flowers Valley. 100 Flowers Valley? Never heard of it. The man shook his head. Friend, you joking with me? What about the Chaos Cloud Ravine? Su Zimo asked. That one, of course I know. It's over by Blackwater Lake. The man nodded. Give me that one, Su Zimo said. Pay first, the man replied. Su Zimo chuckled and tossed out tens of thousands of spirit crystals at random. He had so many that he could hardly spend them all. The man grinned, scooping up the crystals, then dug through his stall piled high with maps. These sellers were like streetwise wanderers who knew every corner of Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge. Got it? The man said after a long search, finally pulling out an old map from the very bottom of a chest. It wasn't drawn on paper, but on beast hide, weathered and ancient. If you hadn't asked, I would have forgotten about this one, the man said with a laugh. My grandfather risked his life to make it back in the day, but the Chaos Cloud Ravine was too dangerous. He didn't dare go deeper, so this is all he managed to chart. You've been selling maps for years, and no one's bought the Chaos Cloud Ravine one? Su Zimo asked. You know its other name? The man smiled slyly as he tidied his stall. What is it? Su Zimo asked. Mass grave, the man replied. As many who enter that land, so many corpses are left behind. Sounds ominous. Not a single survivor. Su Zimo asked. Who knows? Maybe someone made it back. But if so, they'd be true powerhouses, not someone I'd ever cross paths with. The man shook his head. I'm just a map seller. My news is limited. I hear rumors now and then, but they're hardly reliable. Still, since you're a generous spender, here's a word of advice. Don't go there if you can help it. Su Zimo smiled faintly and unrolled the beast-hide map. The details were indeed thorough, marking every possible route leading there. South Marshall Pass, 10-mile slope, Blackwater Lake, Chaos Cloud Ravine. The path matched exactly with Gongyang Su's prophecy. Except Gongyang Su had only given him the place names, not the directions. Su Zimo waved his hand, and Chaos, the colossal titan, stepped forth from the void, its massive frame shaking the earth. A crushing beastly aura swept outward, stunning everyone nearby. Su Zimo mounted its back and flew straight toward South Marshall Pass. Only once the storm winds settled and Chaos's figure disappeared into the distance did the street return to silence. The map seller stared, dumbfounded for a long time before snapping back to his senses. Chaos's enormous body was flying at full speed. In just a few hours, he had already crossed millions of miles. Before Su Zimo could carefully check his bearings, a group of figures suddenly caught up from the side. They were draped in golden kasayas, each standing on a golden monk's staff. Others used swords to fly. They, however, flew on staves. Yet their speed was not slow in the slightest, and they quickly closed in from behind. The group was mixed in appearance. Most of them were bald, though a few had long hair tied back into a single braid trailing over their shoulders. They soon surrounded Su Zimo and Chaos. Chaos let out a thunderous roar. The void shattered, the powerful sound wave ripping through layer after layer of space, making the monks stagger and nearly fall off their staves. "Fellow Taoist, don't misunderstand, we mean no harm," one of them hurriedly shouted. "With this kind of battle formation, you expect me to believe you mean no harm?" Su Zimo chuckled. "We were only ordered to notify you. Someone wishes to meet with you," the leading monk explained. "Who wants to meet me?" Su Zimo asked with a frown. He couldn't recall knowing anyone in this Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge. "The Tower Master of the Border Tower, Zhang Bei," the monk explained. "Since when do people of the Buddha faction run errands for the Border Tower?" Su Zimo asked. "We cooperate with them. It is simply duty," the monk smiled. "And where is he?" Su Zimo asked. "At your destination, South Marshall Pass. We'll escort you there," the monk replied. "Seems you know my movements well," Su Zimo said flatly. The monk only smiled without responding. "Fine. Let's see what this border tower intends." Su Zimo waved his hand. The group tightened their circle formation around him, clearly afraid he might slip away, and together they traveled towards South Marshall Pass. With Chaos's speed, 3 hours later the pass was already visible in the distance. Official source is novel, IR.net. Unlike North Slayer Pass, South Marshall Pass was utterly deserted. The endless stretch of fortifications loomed quietly across the land. Its bluish walls seemed to whisper silently. No one could be seen anywhere, save for a single man standing before the towering South Marshall Gate. "Please, fellow Taoist," the monks gestured, before retreating far away. Su Zimo recalled Chaos, his figure slowly descending to the ground. The man in front of the gate began walking toward him. His steps were vigorous, like a dragon striding or a tiger pacing, his cyan robe fluttering in the wind. "Zhang Bei, 33rd Tower Master of the Border Tower," the man in cyan said first, bowing slightly. "Greetings, fellow Taoist." "Tower Master Zhang is too polite," Su Zimo replied. "What business do you have with me? Would it be convenient to speak inside?" Zhang Bei smiled. With a wave of his hand, the void ahead split open into a spatial gate. Su Zimo nodded. Zhang Bei entered first. Su Zimo followed closely behind. Inside, Su Zimo realized it was only a simple small space that had been recently carved out, no more than a few dozen square meters. But already 2 others were waiting within. "Allow me to introduce them," Zhang Bei said, pointing to the 2, smiling at Su Zimo. "The Patriarch of the Demon faction, Arcane Demon, and the Patriarch of the Buddha faction, the Myriad Buddha." Su Zimo paused, then quickly understood. The 3 men standing here could be said to decide the fate of Brahma City, and even this entire Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge. With just a stomp of their feet, the land would tremble. The patriarchs of the Buddha and demon factions effectively commanded the authority of the Brahma monarch god realm. And with the Tower Master of the Border Tower added to them, things were getting interesting. "So, what do you all want with me?" Su Zimo asked. "We don't seem to be acquainted. At today's Myriad Alchemy gathering, your use of the primordial alchemy god scripture was truly eye-opening," the Myriad Buddha said with a smile. "Later, when you went to the Border Tower to inquire about the Shenyuan clan, we took notice of you." Zhang Bei continued, "I'll be direct, we investigated you, and what we discovered was truly startling. Not long ago, fellow Taoist, you slew a Grand Emperor in North River City, the Mist Prime Emperor of Grand Mist Mountain." "You've got sharp intelligence," Su Zimo replied. He had only entered the particle world less than half a day ago, and they had already traced things back to North River City. "Don't misunderstand. Sometimes cooperation must be built upon confirmed strength." Zhang Bei smiled. "And what cooperation do you propose?" Su Zimo asked. "You even set up this pocket space?" Are you afraid someone might overhear? Fellow Taoist seeks the Shenyuan clan, yes? Zhang Bei asked. Is that not obvious? Su Zimo countered. Then are you familiar with the Myriad Flowers Fairy? Zhang Bei pressed. Su Zimo's eyes narrowed. He was silent for a moment. Taking a deep breath, he asked, The Myriad Flowers Fairy is in the 100-Flower Valley? Seems fellow Taoist knows quite a bit, Zhang Bei said in surprise. He had thought her existence was known only to them. But Su Zimo's reaction showed he already knew something. Jing! Su Zimo's gaze grew cold. His right hand clenched slightly, the surrounding void fracturing piece by piece. Please, fellow Taoist, calm yourself, Zhang Bei quickly said. Do you and the Myriad Flowers Fairy have a grudge? Speak. What do you want to cooperate on? Su Zimo said evenly. If fellow Taoist seeks the Shenyuan clan, I suppose it must be for the Grand Pivot Godsword. But it won't be so easy, Zhang Bei said. Seems you know a lot about the Shenyuan clan, Su Zimo replied. The Shenyuan clan is under the protection of the Myriad Flowers Fairy, Arcane Demon explained. To be honest, we have investigated for a long time, but never gained results. The world thinks Brahma City is under our rule, that the particle world is managed by us. But they don't know, within the particle world lies an anomaly. You're at odds with the Myriad Flowers Fairy? Su Zimo asked. Not just at odds, we've long wished to eliminate her, the Myriad Buddha said. Now everything is ready. Only your strength is needed to tip the scales. How do you propose we cooperate? Su Zimo asked. Kill the Myriad Flowers Fairy. Then we can fully dominate this particle world. And fellow Taoist can obtain the Grand Pivot Godsword. It's a win-win, Zhang Bei said. The four of us together against one Myriad Flowers Fairy. We have a strong chance. What's her cultivation? Su Zimo asked. From initial encounters, she appears to be at the Immortal Monarch realm. But we aren't entirely reassured. She may be hiding her true power, Zhang Bei said. That's why we haven't yet torn the veil. But now, with fellow Taoist here, unless she has reached Saint Sovereign Realm, our victory is certain. Su Zimo fell into deep thought. You want to kill the Myriad Flowers Fairy just for this particle world? Su Zimo asked. Fellow Taoist seems to underestimate the value of this place. Arcane Demon laughed. This particle world is an ancient remnant, contains countless legacies from the distant past. Whether as the fastest path to understanding the ancient era, or as a source of cultivation resources, it is unparalleled. Since our forebears first opened this particle world, millions of years have passed. And yet, even now, we have only explored half of it. But ever since the Myriad Flowers Fairy arrived, she has seized legacies at will and harmed our disciples. We endured it silently, but with your arrival, now is the best opportunity. How do you plan it? Su Zimo asked. Fellow Taoist agrees then? Zhang Bei smiled. If the four of us move together, our target will be too obvious, we might alert her. So you will act alone, as if you've never seen us. Go to the 100-Flower Valley. Once you encounter the Myriad Flowers Fairy, summon us. This, Zhang Bei said, handing over a token, is a teleportation token. Crush it, and it will bring us to your side. Su Zimo accepted the token with a slight nod. Originally, he had intended to confront the Shenyuan clan and the Myriad Flowers Fairy directly. But having a few helpers now wasn't bad. As for trusting Zhang Bei and the others, he never truly believed them. Cooperation born of interests is the most fragile thing. Whoever offers greater benefit, that's who you side with. That has always been the way of the world. The bustling world is for benefits. The clamor of men is for gain. After chatting briefly with Zhang Bei and the others, Su Zimo departed. He had already reached South Marshall Pass. The endless fortifications stretched to the horizon, yet the pass itself was completely empty. According to Zhang Bei, Heaven's End, Ocean's Edge had 4 passes: east, south, west, and north. The demon faction controlled the east. The Buddha faction controlled the north. The border tower controlled the west. As for South Marshall Pass and everything beyond it, that was under the Myriad Flowers Fairy's rule. South Marshall Pass was guarded by the 4 Heavenly Kings. Before the Myriad Flowers Fairy's arrival, the 4 were appointed by the Brahma Monarch God Realm. But afterward, all 4 defected and pledged allegiance to her, guarding the pass in her stead. This was something the Brahma Monarch God Realm could never stomach. If allowed to continue, it might one day truly threaten their dominance. From their attitude, Suzimo could also guess a thing or two. Saint Sovereign Brahma was likely not here. Perhaps even the Brahma Monarch God Realm itself did not know where their ancestor had gone. With liches and demons returning, and the Myriad Flowers Fairy reigning over a region, the sect's strength was surely far less than it once was. Entering South Marshall Pass, ancient buildings rose all around. Mansions shaped like soaring cranes, statues of 9-headed birds, palaces blazing with radiant clouds. Clearly, this place had once flourished. But now, though the structures remained, not a trace of human presence could be found. The autumn wind howled. Fallen leaves occasionally drifted along the ground. The wind whirled in eddies. Dead trees swayed at the roadside. As Suzimo stepped past the city gate, a sudden gust greeted him. On the empty street ahead, 4 figures appeared. Their faces stern. They all wore the same style of robe, but in different colors. Black, white, purple, and red. Their high collars stood upright. On the back of each robe, a ghostly head was embroidered. Tower Bearer, All Creation, Purgatory, and Finality, the 4 Heavenly Kings are here. None shall pass. A majestic voice boomed through the empty pass. The 4 stepped forward as one. With a thunderous rumble, the earth trembled, and willow fluff fell from the air. Tower Bearer, Heavenly King wielded the Heaven Tower. All Creation, Heavenly King gripped the Cloud Chaser sword. Purgatory, Heavenly King held the Garuda Vajra scepter. Finality, Heavenly King carried a demon-slaying fox on his shoulder. They filled the avenue completely, pressing forward with crushing might. You need a writ of entry to pass through South Marshall Pass, Finality said. Do you have one? No writ, Suzimo said with a faint smile, drawing Shadow Tyrant from his back. But I do have a sword. Do you want it? Kill! The 4 Heavenly Kings roared in unison, charging towards Suzimo. Suzimo swung Shadow Tyrant down from his shoulder. With a boom, the ground beneath him split into countless cracks. Rubble shot into the air. He stepped forward, chaotic currents surging underfoot. Dragging his blade, he advanced. All Creation's Cloud Chaser sword unleashed a storm of blades, turning into twisting cyclones that tore entire buildings from their foundations. The Cloud Chaser sword and Shadow Tyrant collided. A surge of force burst out between them, spiderweb cracks spreading wildly underfoot. Suppress! Tower Bearer, Heavenly King barked coldly. The Heaven Tower in his hand expanded hundreds of times over, casting a radiant beam down toward Suzimo. Suzimo retreated quickly, but the Heaven Tower tracked him relentlessly. Demon-slaying fox, go! Finality commanded. The fox on his shoulder suddenly grew 100 times larger, baring its fangs as it pounced. Suzimo snorted coldly. Shadow Tyrant spun once in the air, his body tilting just enough to evade the fox's strike. SSNOV3lfire.net. As they passed each other, he seized the fox's tail and hurled it straight at the Heaven Tower overhead. The blade intent of Shadow Tyrant surged to the extreme. With a downward slash, the Cloud Chaser sword in All Creation's hand snapped in two. Crack! Unstoppable, Shadow Tyrant cleaved forward still, cutting All Creation Heavenly King cleanly in half. Immediately, Suzimo thrust out his right hand. The creation-devouring Godfinger emerged, its endless devouring force spiraling at his fingertip. Around his hand, whole swathes of void collapsed. The fingertip became a black hole's light, crashing against the Heaven Tower with overwhelming might. Boom! A deafening explosion shook the skies. The heavens themselves split apart, and Tower Bearer Heavenly King's body was flung back violently. Suzimo spun, rushing at Finality Heavenly King. Fox, save me! Finality cried in terror. But the fox, only just recovering, was kicked flying by Suzumo before it could intervene. Suzumo grabbed Finality's robe and flung him straight toward the last one, Purgatory Heavenly King. Purgatory gave a heavy snort. Spirit force surged around him, eerie cries escaping his mouth. His body grew massive, sprouting 8 muscular arms. Gripping the Garuda Vajra scepter, he swung it down once. Each strike rippled through the void in waves. "Wrath of Garuda," he bellowed. The space behind him shattered apart.